Yes, hello. I am James Roders, and today is a Wnr490. It's AEW All Out 2023. I am not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show is, of course, the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, going well, thank you. Doing well. Excited for another AEW premium live event review. Let's hope that the gods are in my favor today.
Now, look, I know I might have mentioned it once or twice on the last show.
Here we go. Monty, listen up, just in case.
No.
Just in case you don't know.
About how badly you're doing on the WWE predictions. Have I mentioned that? I don't know. I don't know if I have.
Once or twice. I don't think Monty.
So she continued that. You continue losing. Wow.
Yeah. She did. Well, Monty. She went for the Miz over LA Knight.
Listen, this was back when I thought that the Miz was going to be able to use cheating tactics, because I didn't think that John Cena was about to, insert himself as special guest referee. So excuse me if I thought we were going to have a bit of cheating going on to keep building up LA Knight versus the Miz. That's what I thought was going to happen. Okay? And John Cena screwed me over in that respect.
You see, people listening to this who have just gone from last week's into this week's show, it's just the same journey. You see, we've picked up exactly where we left. But what I was going to say is, I know how badly we do in WWE. It's the kind of opposite in AEW. You, of course, won All In at Wembley, so you must be confident AEW show.
I don't know if confidence is the right word. I think I'm sweating a little, because now that I've actually reached that status of sort of being on top with AEW, it's like the pressure is there for me to stay on top because of, as you've rightly pointed out, James, I'm such a loser in WWE.
Yes, you are. But we'll see what happens. When it comes to this, people listening for the first time as well must think I'm such a cunt. But again, yes, I am. Yeah. All right. So that's,
he is. He is a bully. Don't worry. It's even worse for him when we're in person, because he gets bullied twice over from me and my sister. So he definitely gets this back. Do not worry, everyone. Karma's a bitch.
It is true. Up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan deity is, of course, Monty. How's it going, man?
Going as well as it can be going at this time. Tony Khan decided to screw me over with two pay-per-views literally right after each other. I barely could handle one pay-per-view at a time. And then he decided, who cares what you got going on? You're like, you want to watch Payback? Let's get you all out too, because that's just what I wanted to do with my life. But as you will see on this show, I try to not let it affect any of my reviews. But it's been going all right. It's been going all right.
I think you've been happier. I'm not going to lie. People do. Go back to this earlier updates, maybe. It's not my fault.
What a shift! What a shift! I feel like, if you go back 3 or 4 updates, man, I was on top of the world, and now, what a hard, long fall it has been.
Well, again, it's crazy to think how much wrestling we have had. And we were doing a show, I think, about the G1 when the news broke about CM Punk being fired. Of course, me, Gina, and Jaxie went into more detail last week. What were your thoughts about the CM Punk firing, and where do you think he's going to end up, if anywhere?
Well, hopefully it's a while. I don't necessarily want to see him personally end up anywhere, honestly, for a while. To be on, in my money, I wouldn't be surprised if WWE maybe called him, but I just don't understand that decision either. I mean, if he couldn't make it work in the situation that Tony tried to give him with Collision, it's hard for me to believe that he can make it work anywhere, honestly. Of course, I feel like maybe after this whole mess, maybe he would want to, go. Maybe he could go to, because again, you can't ever really count anything happening in WWE. So it's definitely always a possibility. It's just, I'll be really shocked because it would take him to swallow a lot of pride, and it's just a lot of stuff that I just don't know that he would want to do. But my initial reaction was it was finally the right move, and a lot of what happened at their biggest event ever a lot of what happened that night could have been avoided if Tony would have pulled the trigger on this or been more harsh on his punishment from the original brawl out and all of that, because a lot of what happened just lingered. And the fact that Tony thought that he could make this work by keeping people apart, and then, they're coming together for these shows and we can just try to avoid the issue. Or, the fact that even if you want to say you want to blame the Young Bucks, because they said the Young Bucks possibly gave them a 6-month grace period before you willing to work, but can you really blame them for giving them a grace period before they're willing to work with CM Punk again? Because it's just like, it was such a mess. Like, you want to see how it play out, and then look at what happened. It couldn't last 6 months without getting into something else. But all of this was lingering effects. If you want, some people want to blame Jack. Like, I've seen all types of stuff thrown on the internet. But at the end of the day, CM Punk is 40-something years old. He knows at this point that he was already, his name was pretty much had a lot of negativity. Even if he felt like he didn't do anything wrong in his entire thing, he should know that by this point, by the time we get to Wembley, anything you do is going to be twisted, turned into the worst thing possible. So why even try? Why even take it to that next level in front of your boss? At that time, you know what I'm saying? Like, at least wait till the show. If you're gonna do this, wait till the show is over. Maybe you can avoid cameras, which I doubt they would have. But you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do it then. But like, don't choose that time there. So that made me start to believe some of the other rumors about, like, maybe he was hoping to get removed. I just don't think. But the thing that made me push back against those rumors that he was, after his meeting fell through with the Young Bucks, he was looking for a way out. I don't really buy that, because I just feel like he got so many ways that he can get away, so many better ways to exit.
I feel like Phil would he's got too much pride to be like, I'm not going to run away like a little bitch from the Young Bucks. Like, I don't believe
and plus
that.
He had his own show. Like,
exactly.
Like,
literally got Collision created for him for that reason. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
but I do think that we do need to really, like you said, point out that the common denominator for a lot of the backstage issues that have gone down have been CM Punk. He's been the denominator in both these sort of scrap ups, as you will. I don't actually think that it's fair to kind of place sole blame on Jungle Boy for the reason for his firing, because this has been a build up, as you've said, Monty, as well. It's been built up over time, and again, the common denominator is Punk. So we really got to stop saying blaming other people and actually saying, well, what is it that Punk is doing to antagonize these people? Because these people were absolutely fine and not having any dramas backstage before Punk joined. So
with that being said, that's why I don't necessarily know if he should be in WWE, because that's another locker room that we've heard so far for a while now. Things have gotten so much better after the McMahon era of booking and all of that. Other, even though, every now and then you hear more rumors that certain people may be disgruntled with certain things, but other than that, their culture seemed to be really healthy. So why would you bring him in to that culture and expect him to be able to, just fit in and just be another guy? Now, if you're saying you're going to bring him in for like a one-off or like a couple of appearances every now and then, maybe you can work that out. But honestly, I just seriously doubt it when it comes to his future. So I have no clue where he will end up. But what I do want to say is also, like, it got to the point to where I even seen that apparently something the Young Bucks did on Being the Elite, he thought was targeting him. So he sent a notice or something to AEW saying, they're talking about me. But it's like, even if they weren't, by the way, the Young Bucks were not even referencing him. But even if they were talking about him, have we already forgotten what he was allowed to do on his very first night back? like, why are you complaining about what someone possibly said about you when on your very first night back in the company, you're saying counterfeit bucks and stuff like that? It's like, it's just, again, I don't, it's just, at the end of the day, it's hard to look at this situation and not place a lot of the blame on what a lot of the decisions that he made, whether you on one side of the fence or the other. And I just hate the fact that for some reason, some people feel like you have to choose a side in this situation, when I don't think that's even the case. At the end of the day, this didn't work because CM Punk did not allow it to work. Because I don't know if you can give someone a better opportunity than that, to where you're booking your own show, to where you can tell some people not to be here or whatever. And even in the other thing, like, again, you got to blame Tony, because who was in position who put him in position to even tell Jack, hey, why don't you not use real glass? That led to whatever petty stuff Jack said at Wembley. So again, it's just a lot of stuff when you think about it. Where it's like,
are you EVP? Are you EVP? Like, what right did you have to actually no to Jack in the first place? Like, I get that he was like, sort of known as that sort of prominent figure that people wanted to listen to. But again, he was not like, he's not a staff worker within it that can give those rights. So why was it?
He had 2 contracts, and one of them was for wrestling, the other one was for kind of producing creative Collision and stuff like this.
And that's on Tony.
But again, we've seen it before. When you give someone creative control, it works. And the thing with Punk, again, we don't want to talk about too much, but if you think about it, he had a year reign as WWE champion, still wasn't happy. He came to AEW, became world champion, still wasn't happy. Came back, given his own show, still not happy. After a while,
it's like, what can we do?
After a while, it's us or it's him. And if you think of every situation, place he's gone to, and in the end, it ends up in this way. And again, you talk about disrespect, and even not the Winnie Regal story of if he's truly called him a stooge, then Jack Perry doing that to Punk is exactly the same thing. So practice what you preach, I think would be fair to say.
100%. So a lot of this is brought on himself. It's unfortunate because he is a box office star. I even saw some people flirting with the fact, all right, well, he obviously can't make it in America, so let's go to New Japan. The only way that could even work is because the way New Japan do things, he would only be there for the big events. So if you can invite him only to do like a Wrestle Kingdom, only to do, like a New Beginning or something like that, then maybe it can make sense. But even then, I'm like, nah, it's no point because in Japan, no one's gonna take his side. They're just gonna beat him up backstage, and we'll read about it, trying to decipher what's true.
Just trying to not shake Suzuki's hand. See how long that goes.
Exactly. Yeah, it might not work out the way he thinks. But anyway, that's enough. But I just wanted to say that because I didn't get a chance to really talk about it. But I wish him the best because I am a fan of him. That's the thing that sucks because I think anyone who's a fan of what Punk does in the ring and what he was as a character, I feel like it's really messed up that however he felt backstage or whoever he is as a person, kind of screwed us all out of the many. Because I was looking forward to not only the match with Ricky on this show that we're talking about now. I'm looking forward to that playoff. I also was looking forward to the future that him and Max will possibly have a winner take all type of situation. Like it's all types of stuff. Obviously, the elite stuff down the line you would hope would actually get a payoff. So it's just sad that all the big business and big money he could have been making for AEW gets thrown down the drain because of egos.
Yeah, and that's a shame, And again, there was 2 big stories, Monty. There was the CM Punk thing, and also last week, the something changed, and I got to tell you, calling for someone. Do you know that? I really do, and I'll tell you more. Actually, because she's got eyes like a sunrise. Like a rainfall down my soul. And I wonder why you look at me like that, what you're thinking, what's behind. Don't tell me, but I think it feels like love. So I'm going to take this moment, I'm going to make it last forever. I'm going to give my heart away and pray we'll stay together. Because you're the one good reason, you're the only girl that I need, because you're more beautiful than I have ever seen. I'm going to take this night and I'm going to make it ever G. Gina, welcome to the show. How you doing? You all right?
Hey, what it do? I'm actually excited to be introduced. I thought I was going to wait till the end of the show at this point to be introduced.
I'm not going to say anything. Jaxie and Monty talked a lot, didn't they? And I'm not going to.
Sorry about that.
Can I just add in my 2 cents?
Yeah,
go for it.
Of course you can.
I agree with both Jaxie and Monty about what they said. Summed up, for sure. But no, I definitely agree. I think everyone, you control your own actions, and regardless as to if Jack Perry was antagonizing him and even screaming in his face, Punk should have realized that however he responded, it was going to have consequences. And, he chose to respond the way he did, and that's what led to his firing. So I don't feel anybody else should be blamed. I think everyone will be taking their own accountability for what happened in the situation. We know that there have been, suspensions for this. So, these things happen. And I think people need to kind of like get over it a little bit and try and move past this so that AEW doesn't get stuck with this stigma,
Yeah, I agree. And so with AEW now, the chance for, a fresh start. And here we are a week later. I mean, it must be a bit of a come down low, Gina, to think that, the week before this event, you were there watching AEW and now they're kind of back to normal. I mean, could get excited for this as we can all in?
I mean, for sure. At the end of the day, we're still gonna be looking forward to this next event. So I don't think that there's anything that's putting it off.
Well, let's get to it then. September 3rd, Chicago, All Out 2023. We start with 0 Hour with the very annoying RJ City and Renee Paquette. We get a Danielson backstage promo saying he loves Ricky Steamboat. Why wouldn't he? Excalibur, Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness are on commentary as we get the over-budget Battle Royal. The winner gets to choose a charity to receive $50,000. We see Adam Page, Best Friends, Tony Nese, Dalton Castle, The Gates of Agony, Action and Scorpio Sky were involved in the match. Saw a lot of comedy spots, but after surviving a lot of punishment, Hangman ended up winning the whole thing. Monty, start us off because your prediction for this was what the fuck. So when we didn't know who was going to be in it as we went into it, what were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, that actually should be my review of the Battle Royal. What the fuck? No, you know what I hate the most about this, and I don't want to be that guy. Maybe maybe I should be that guy because I feel like a spoiled American here. And much as I'm glad. I hope everyone benefited from the money. But why would anybody want to participate in this match? Just tell me.
Why would anybody want to help anybody else? Tell me.
That's what I'm saying. I feel dirty saying it because it was for charity. I get it, but I'm just saying, I won, so I can give the purse to it. So what else? Woo! All right, I'm sorry. That's me. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and be that guy. I hope it helped everyone who got it. Good job. I'm happy for them. Yeah. It's just I don't see the incentive behind the Battle Royal. Honestly, it should have just been. We only had a week to book this, and we just want to give you guys a pay-per-view check. Go. That's really what it was. But hey, it is what it is. It's for charity. Blah blah blah. Yay, Hangman. It would have been nice to at least get a heads up of 5 people who was in the match. It would have been nice. So I could give you a prediction. I never wrote a name. I was just gonna guess somebody, but AEW's roster is so bloated that I just said screw it. I don't care. I just take the loss on the points because I can't guess who the hell would win. So I just gave up. I conceded.
Fair enough. I mean, Jaxie, are you more charitable with this match?
I mean, I have to kind of agree here with what Monty said. I kind of feel like it was just here to give all of the AEW roster, that weren't featured at All In, a chance to kind of be featured on something. I do get it was for charity, and I think that that's a great event to have. But with 1 week's notice and then not even any announcements as to who was going to be in it, it just kind of it feels like it was just placed there just to actually let the roster do something, let the roster that didn't go to the UK have something that they can look forward to a week later. So, it kind of just felt like it was there for the roster more than it was like a charity event. I feel like if it was a charity event, they could have made it a lot bigger, got a lot more fans involved, like getting them placing bets on who would be the ultimate winner in order to raise more money for charity. So it could have been planned better. Not saying that the event itself, you're never going to get bored when watching one of these matches, so even if it is just there for a bit of fun, I feel like it was exactly that. It was there for a bit of fun. It was there to kind of warm up the crowd. It was nice to see sort of all these other rosters of people that we have not seen in a while, but again, like Monty said, announcing it would have actually kind of made, who was in it would have made it feel a little bit more like it's meant to be a match, So
I think usually AEW, they give a trophy for the winner, when it's something to do with kind of like that. So to just have a battle royal, But again, you talk about the roster, someone like Dalton Castle, should be doing a lot more. You know, it's just I think it's just such a great talent. And Gina, with you, it's like also I've asked Gina this, like Hangman Adam Page, does he deserve more? You know, because it's weird, isn't it? Like I don't know where he belongs in the card.
What do you mean more? Do you mean like back into the main title picture?
Saying, not on a battle royal on a 0 hour. You know, just saying. We've seen that afterwards, I suppose, but you know.
I feel like he could be featured a lot more, even in some matches, to remind people that, you know, he's still here. Because at one point, he had come back, and I was like, "Oh wait, how long has he been off?" And my sister was like, "I don't think he has been off. He just hasn't been booked." Again, like it was just weird because it was like a little quiet time, and then he just came back. But I kind of forgot that he was gone. But it's like once he came back, I remembered, oh crap, like we actually kind of need him, especially with the whole Punk situation now. Like, yeah, it's just weird. It's like, where does he belong on the card right now? Because I would love to see him back in the main title picture, but is there any space for him at the moment?
Well, it's the thing, isn't it? It's just so, as Monty said, the roster's just so big, we can hardly fit anybody else in. But hopefully, you know, like they've got how many more hours of television do they want a week to try and fit this talent in? You know, like,
right.
Like it's 15 hours.
6 days, 6 shows,
like
7 shows a week.
Well, you think about it, from Sunday to Sunday, they had like a 4-hour pay-per-view, and then obviously Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, and another pay-per-view with 2 hours kickoff on one and an hour on another. And you still can't get all the talent on there. Anyway, scores for the Battle Royal. Monty, kick us off.
Yes, I'm going to be harsh, 2.
2. Jaxie?
I'm going to go 2 as well. It was just a Battle Royal.
Gina?
Yeah, I want to join them. I'm going to say 2 as well.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm going to say 3. Because, you know, I'm no shit.
So nice.
Somehow being daring.
Predictions. Well, the prediction leagues 2023. Of course, we've got 3 prediction leagues, and this is before All Out and after Payback. So WWE prediction. Yes, Jaxie, I'm going to mention it again. Jaxie's on 1. James and Monty are on 4. Gina is in the lead on 5. Bonus league. Jaxie on 11. Gina on 12. I'm on 14. Monty in the lead there with 15. And AEW, which of course we're doing today, Gina and I are on 2. Monty, Jaxie on 3. So this is very, very important. Prediction. Well, we didn't know who the fuck was going to be in it. And like I said, Monty put what the fuck. I put Wardlow. Jaxie, Gina went for Pac. So we all start with a big fat 0. We then had Shida, Blue and Nightingale versus Martinez, Diamante and Athena. Do you know what? I thought Monty, Billy Starks was Zaya Brookside. And I have to apologise for thinking all white women look the same. But like, honestly, they do, don't they?
You said it.
Yeah.
You said it. I did. You said it.
Yeah, I think you're going to be the only one that says that. We'll leave that.
Shout out to Zaya Brookside.
They do. From me,
I love her. She's awesome.
Just for instance, you know, just for purposes of those listening, the white boy said it.
Hey, maybe that's my problem. Maybe I do think all white people look the same. You know, I don't know. Maybe if that's wrong, I don't want to be right.
Also, Billy is also one of those people that she's just. Man, I feel so old watching Billy wrestle. I just leave it at that. It's like, wow.
Yeah, you feel old. Yeah, no,
like,
I've seen,
exactly. I can only imagine how you fossils feel. No, I'm just playing.
I've seen the debut, and now they're calling him the greatest of all time. Like, I watched Babe Ruth play baseball. Like, that's how it feels. Anyway, back to the match. Athena had some issues with Nez. But for the most part, both teams worked well together. The ended out being a much better match than expected. All 6 women brought the Ray game to make sure the crowd had a good time. In front of a hometown crowd, Blue was the one who scored the pin on Diamante to win the match. So, Gina, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, not many thoughts, to be honest. Not because I'm not interested, but I just thought it was all in all a good match. But I didn't think I didn't think that it was like, you know, anything worthy of noting, to be honest. I thought it was great and I was entertained, but it also could have been like a house show match a little bit. So, but I'm not gonna lie, I do like the team up of Diamante and Mercedes at the moment. I think they work well together, and they do look good together, to be honest. So if they're gonna try and, you know, salvage some of this women's division, I think that they do need to do like a good, you know, tag team, not titles maybe, but even just tag teams within women's groups, and, you know, not break them up 2 weeks later or something, you know. And I think Diamante and Mercedes could really have like a long-standing tag team between them. And yeah, so it did what it needed to do, and I'm grateful because I got the win.
Yeah, well, we're going to get onto that in a minute, but again, these things where I wish I saw more of Athena. You know, like, I guess she's killing it in Ring of Honor, but like, I just feel
she definitely is.
Yeah, but I think
it would be better if we'd seen more of her on AEW TV, because it just makes her more relevant to the AEW fans as well. You know, again, a lot of them could still be seeing her on other platforms and shows, but those who only tune into AEW are they're probably like, I don't really remember this girl. Why is she in this match?
She's been almost undefeated, and nobody, like, if you don't watch, you don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Nobody kind of realized her caliber coming into this match, thinking of her as an actual contender, you know, because they didn't really know it.
And you can tell how desperate Tony was to fill the card by putting another women's match in, you know. So he must. There's not a lot of options there, but again, this was fine for what it was, I think. Right, so Gina scores out of 5 for this one.
3.5 will do.
3.5. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, it was a solid TV match. I'll give it 3. Also, it wasn't bad. I had no problem with it, and yeah, it was not as far as my prediction go. It'd be nice to get some intel on, because I didn't even know Sky was from Chicago. If you know they're going into the match, maybe I'll make a different decision. But besides that, I also got to say that also don't book just because you like a tandem, because I agree with everything you said earlier, Gina. I really like Diamante and Mercedes together, so I'm like, they should get a win here, and you know that and as you see how that played out. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Give it 3 stars.
Jackson, what were your thoughts on this as well? Because predictions didn't work out either.
No, predictions didn't work out. I mean, to be honest, I actually agree with Monty and Gina. I think that Mercedes and Diamante look very good together as a tag team. And so I thought, or presumed, that the heels might come out on top of this one because of how strong Athena is and stuff. But, you know, with the clash of personalities that was clearly happening within the ring, it was evident very, very quickly to me that I was not going to pick up this win. So it does suck in terms of like the predictionally, but I wish that she was, like you guys said, that Ember Moon Athena was featured more on AEW for those that don't necessarily watch all of Ring of Honor. I mean, I try to watch, you know, as many of their pay-per-views as they do put on, but it is very hard to be catching up with so many different wrestling promotions. So it's a shame, because I know that, you know, Athena was held back for quite a while, and then just being able to come here and hearing that she's really doing exceedingly well in Ring of Honor, but not actually seeing it, is a little bit of it feels for me a bit of a cop-out. So this match was like giving us what we wanted and seeing these female wrestlers that we haven't seen in a while on AEW TV. But again, like Gina said, it kind of felt like it could have been a house show type match, because there wasn't much involvement, there wasn't much at stake. So it was just there, really. So I gave this 3.25.
Yeah, I gave it 3.5, just for like great talent. I just want to see more. Yeah, that's all. You know, just show more of these women wrestling. Predictions, yeah, Gina and I went faces. Monty and Jaxie went heels. So James and Gina, that sounds quite good together, actually, went on 1. Monty Jaxie on 0. The Trios Championship next. Yo, listen. It's the Acclaimed Daddy R versus Jeff Jarrett. That's JFFJARRETT, Lethal and Singh. Aubrey in as a ref to get under Karen Jarrett's skin, and it worked perfectly. Karen helped her husband cheat whenever she could, so the bad guys had the upper hand at multiple points in this match. Dennis Rodman, who I thought was in slow motion at one point, came in and used the guitar whilst Aubrey was distracted. Aubrey saw this. She just chose to ignore it. This allowed Gunn, Bowens, and Case to win. I mean, Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this? Because I love the Acclaim, but they're better than this, surely, you know?
Yeah, this match, again, first of all, this match is the type of match that we'd get on Rampage. I didn't feel much excitement when this match was announced, just because, you know, having them come off of this big win at All In against the House of Black, I did not see them losing the belts anytime soon. So, especially after, you know, revealing those god-awful pink scissor belts, I'm really sorry, guys, I do not like them. I'm not a fan.
You don't like
yeah,
them?
so no. The
Gina,
pink is just.
Does Gina, do you like them? I'm going to do a poll.
She's shaking her head right now and saying no.
Okay, Monty, do you like them?
Well, I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
So
okay.
they're fine.
No.
They're fine.
I love them.
They're fine.
I love them more than life itself. How about
Really?
that, Jaxie? Yeah.
They're really ugly. I'm sorry, I really don't like them.
It's with the gimmick, so I leave it alone because it's a custom belt. But my whole thing is the purpose of them. I just got used to the regular trios belt. That's really my only beef with them.
Exactly.
Like, why do we even have them already? Like, but whatever, it's fine. I don't mind it.
I feel like it's just a novelty, is another cash grab. It just kind of feels like this goes into a bigger discussion that we could probably have on another pod at a later date, James, but personally for me, I don't really feel like we need to customize each belt for each new champion that comes in. I just think it gets redundant after a while, and it really is just there for a cash grab for people who, you know, whose specific champion that they
gotta get that merch.
Can get. It's not necessary. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun.
You know, for those who do like the belt, you know, fair play. I'm glad it appeals to them. It's just not. It's just not for me. I don't.
James.
I just think they look a bit cheap. That's all.
Yeah, I don't like the pink. And don't get me wrong, the pink works so well on the Acclaimed. It looks so good. I love their uniform. I'm not like,
but for belts.
But for the belts, they don't look right. And like Monty said, we're only just getting used to the other trio.
Pink because they wear pink. You see, that's why it's pink.
Yeah,
it's because of it.
But they
shit, James. No shit.
Yeah, unnecessary. That's all it is. So
I'm waiting for your defense, James. You love them more than life.
They're scissors because they like scissoring. You see, that's.
Oh, you know what? Now I love them too because I ain't noticed that. I didn't even know. Damn.
The biggest thing though, and again, from co-main event of the biggest show AEW's ever done to the kickoff, right? That's where the Acclaim went. So just 1 week after that.
AEW for you.
Yeah, that is. So scores for that one. Jaxie, out of 5, what are you going to give it?
Again, I wasn't really fussed by this match. I wasn't really remotely invested in it because I didn't really think that the Acclaim were going to lose. So 3.25 for me.
3.25. Gina?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was a bit just randomed out with, why is Dennis Rodman here?
Oh yeah, we forgot
Chicago.
Well, and why is he
me wrong,
played for the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah.
A big famous name. Any Dennis Rodman fans are probably going to tune in because they hear he's going to be on a wrestling show. Well, I
don't know.
Sorry, there's a spider. I'm sorry. Felt it was random. I just sorry for the spider outburst. I just felt Dennis Rodman was random, so I think 3.5 is a good score for me. It was entertaining. The house crowd clearly enjoyed it. They were quite loud and were screaming a lot, so they clearly enjoyed the show. But I just felt it was random, so 3.5.
It's a bit like the last 5 minutes here, I suppose. But Monty, What's your score out of 5?
I give it like 2.5. Like the funny thing about it for me is when people like Dennis Rodman show up now, it's like I feel so bad for the kid whose father got to explain to him who the hell Dennis Rodman is. But besides that, also I used to be a defender of Jeff Jarrett in AEW. Not so much, anyway, because like they started to overuse him, and I just want to say that now. Jeff Jarrett was at his worst in Impact when he wouldn't go away. Of course, he overbooked himself and was champion every time. I hated him then too. But I'm just saying, man, like, what does Jeff Jarrett got on Tony, man? Why are we still doing this? What's up? Anyway, I'll leave it alone. That's enough. Anyway, whatever. The claim won. Like she said, I was not into it, so that's why I get 2.5.
I'm going to give it a 3 and a quarter. Predictions, we all went there claimed. So it's James and Gina on 2, Monty Jaxie on 1. You start main show. MJF and Adam Nicole put their Ring of Honor tag team titles on the line against John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Cole and Silver started with a quick exchange, a takedown. The crowd started out and double clothesline almost immediately. MJF took a shot to the neck, went out to the ring to take a breather. Cole checked on him, but Silver took advantage of the situation. While the ref was distracted, Reynolds hit MJF with a chair. This led to Cole being all alone against both opponents. Baby was almost the entire time, but MJF did the big babyface comeback, coming down, back into the ring, hitting the kangaroo kick. Max and Cole hit then the double clothesline on Reynolds, and Cole covered for the pin. Monty, you either love it or you hate it. What are your thoughts on MJF and Adam Nicole successfully attaining the Ring of Honor tag team titles?
It was a pretty good match. The crowd was into it, and I think they did a good job of involving the crowd. The Dark Order. The thing is, do you think were they believable threats to this run? You can make the argument maybe they weren't, but I do like the angle of the match. I kind of like the angle of the match more than I like the overall wrestling of it. So I, like you said, MJF pulling the big babyface return, and just again, something's gonna happen. I don't know if it's gonna be Max turning or someone's gonna turn on Max, but like that's the fact that I'm even entertaining Max coming out of this feud a full-fledged babyface just shows you that AEW has done a really good job with the story, because we know just how evil Max has been so far in his AEW career. So even if it go the predictable way of him turning eventually, or if it go the unpredictable way and have Adam or something else happen to split them up, I do think it's been a good ride so far. A lot better ride than I thought it was going to be when they did this whole random pairing storyline going into it. So I give them props there. But other than that, this was just a really cool match to me. I didn't have a problem with it, but I also don't think it was anything too special either. So yeah, it was fine. I'm right around 3 3/4 maybe. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, as Monty said, Jaxie, I mean, MJF is living his best life at the moment, isn't he? Like, he is on top of the world.
I mean, he's kind of featured with everything, isn't he, at the moment? And just sort of like, putting him in this sort of pictures, it's definitely just going to solidify that he is AEW's top man right now, So I did enjoy this match, like Monty said as well. I think that there were really good elements to it. Aussie Open are such a great tag team. Aussie Open. I'm thinking back to All In now. No, Dark Order are such a great tag team, and I think the one thing that stood out for me in this match about the Dark Order is that they really had the heelish aspect down again, and it makes me believe that they're really kind of going down that sort of dark route with them again. So this match overall left me feeling or left me wondering, what's in store next for Dark Order, what they're going to get up to next, especially because they have been showing frustration towards Hangman Page. I'm intrigued to see where things go for them. In terms of the match, again, I feel like it was just sort of like there. I'll be nice. I'll give it a 3.5. But did I really believe that they were going to lose the belts? No, I didn't. So.
And I think this is another thing, we talk about from main eventing All In to kind of curtain jerking, starting All Out now, which again is a bit of a weird thing. And Gina, you talked about earlier as well. It's like this is another match that could have quite easily been on Dynamite because, as we mentioned, MJF and Cole weren't really under threat, even when Cole was by himself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I even could tell when MJF was playing sort of injured. I was like, oh God, he's just going to come running out sort of 5 minutes towards the end of the match, you know? Again, it could have been on a house show or something, this match. But the reason it wasn't is because it's MJF and he's high star, you know, quality of a wrestler. So for them, this would be a pay-per-view worthy match just because of his presence. But I can't even remember when it was, but there was probably a pod from last year where I think all of us, possibly not Monty or possibly he did, all agreed that MJF should never be turned face because it wouldn't work. And I feel like we are all eating our words at the moment because it is working right now. And it is brilliant. I thought it was going to be such a random pairing between them both. And I didn't really know how long they were going to keep this going on for, whether it was just going to be a 2 thing until they led up to the, you know, sort of the London event and then end it there. But it seems like they're really, you know, they're milking in the money on the Bebe t-shirts, better than you Bebe t-shirts, sorry. And then, yeah, they probably see the fact that everyone loves these two together, that they're like, no, let's continue this, which is why they're bringing sort of, you know, several different feuds into it, one separately for MJF, but also the Roderick Strong thing, which kind of involves them both. So it's just working at the moment. But in terms of the match, it was a good match because of the people that were involved, but it didn't really need to be on the show. It was just there. So I'll give it a 3.25.
3.25. I'll give it 3.5. Predictions. We all went better than you, baby. So it means James and Gina on 3, Jaxie, Monty on 2. As Samoa Joe made his way to the ring for the next match, he passed Cole and MJF on the ramp. He pushed MJF, who made him angry. So the AEW champion attacked him and caused a pull-apart brawl. Joe almost looked happy he got to MJF's head. It wasn't super clear maybe why MJF got upset, other than Joe coming out earlier than expected. But this was later revealed with reference to a WWE segment that took place several years ago. And like you said, Monty, I am a bit of a fossil. So I remember Joe coming out and MJF backstage with security guards and being pushed by Joe. Again,
push them aside.
Bringing up WWE again, is that a good idea?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You're right about that. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, especially in this case, because AEW works in the realm, not always, but I think sometimes too much, work in the realm of the internet. And by this point, a lot of people on the web have seen that clip of Samoa Joe pushing a young Max to the side. And, you know, they reference WWE a lot and definitely sometimes too much. And so I kind of understand if some people don't like it because it's like a direct reference to something that happened on WWE TV, I can understand. But looking at it through the realm of someone who knows just how prominent AEW is with their online fan base, you know, I do also think that if they did a feud with these two and didn't mention it or didn't bring it up, it'll be people complaining. So I don't mind it, and I definitely don't mind them recreating it because now you have your own clip you can show to keep the story going. So I don't mind that part of it. But I think they do it a little too much. But in this case, they didn't have much other history to pull from, so I don't mind it.
Now, well, we did still have a match. Joe was defending his Ring of Honor TV title against Shane Taylor. The two big men immediately throwing heavy hands at each other, and he used a wide variety of offense to inflict damage. Joe was able to secure the win with submission to retain his title. But we are near peak Joe. It's been a while since Samoa Joe's been this good, and he really is heating up. I mean, Gina, what do you think of the match? Because Joe's been on a roll recently, and you know, we know MJF feud's coming up. This is a perfect time for him, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I know Shane Taylor, but I don't know his matches. Like I know of him, but I've never really. I don't think I've watched a match. If I have, I've maybe watched one, but I don't really remember it. You know, so. I was really looking forward to it because, to be honest, he doesn't look like a pushover. This didn't look like it was going to be a squash match. I did think Joe was going to win. There was sort of no doubt there, but
I was really intrigued to see these two sort of go at it, and I really enjoyed it. They obviously work well together, and they've got good communication. And I was thoroughly entertained. And for me, this was kind of like a bit of a pay-per-view worthy type of clash, and probably just because of the way like it was booked, it seemed like so much bigger, and it made like a bit of purpose and reason. But yeah, I still thought it was good, and I enjoyed it, and it made me a bit more intrigued to kind of see maybe a few more matches of Shane Taylor's and keep an interest in him. So
yeah, I mean, again, exactly the same as you. Not seeing a lot, but I thought, what a hell of a right hand he's got. Like, he was... It makes you sit up and pay attention. I mean, Monty, do you know anything more about Shane Taylor? I know, again, I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but please tell us.
No, he was a former... That very belt that Joe is carrying around, he had that belt for a long time, and a nice television, Ring of Honor television run before Tony's acquisition of the company. He's a pretty good wrestler in my opinion. I'm not gonna act like I'm the most familiar with him, but the few times I've gotten a chance to see him, and when he had a faction, the Shane Taylor Promotions and all of that, when he had that going on in Ring of Honor, he's pretty good. He was dominant, you know what I mean? And I think that's why I was kind of interested to see him in a match with another dominant guy like a Samoa Joe. So I think with that background, I did have a little bit more excitement going into it because I knew Shane Taylor wanted to reclaim his belt. But that's what kind of had it didn't bum me out because I really liked the angle with Max and Joe. But that's the only thing about the booking. I kind of thought Max kind of overshadowed the title match because after something like that, it's like, oh, no way Joe could be in threat to losing if he's, pushing around and brawling with the world champion. I just doubt that he would lose now. So that kind of took away from it to me a little bit, but it still ended up being a pretty good big man match. I think that Shane Taylor got a chance to show a little bit of what he brings to the table. He's another one of those guys, just like a lot of them, like you just mentioned with Dalton, because he was a great Ring of Honor champion and all of that. Like, a lot of the Ring of Honor guys, the Kingdom, for example, haven't really gotten a chance so far in AEW to show you why they are who they are. So when they pop up on these cards with people that you do know, I think when they don't get a chance to just go out there and showcase what they can do like this one, that does them a disservice. And I think, like you said, it was good to see that. It was good to get unfamiliar people with Shane Taylor to finally at least get a chance to see him do something. So, overall, I didn't have a problem with anything how it played out. I think they ended up having a solid big man contest. And the only thing that kind of bummed me out is that you can say that the opening brawl was the most exciting thing that happened in the match, and it didn't have anything to do with Shane. So I kind of think that sucks. But other than that, it was really good.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, Jaxie, I think Monty basically hit the nail on the head there. But again, it's exciting with Joe, the form he's in, versus MJF for the form he's in at this moment in time,
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we knew that there were kind of more storyline to come with Joe. But I have to agree with everything Monty just said there. Really kind of depicts this match well. I'm intrigued to see what's to come for Joe. Like everyone else, I'd known of Shane Taylor, hadn't really been accustomed to him. So I felt overall this was just a great match of strength and just to kind of give Joe a little bit of a challenge. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think we're out now. Right, so scores out of 5. Gina, what would you score this out of 5?
3.5.
3.5. Monty?
Yeah, I'm going with 3.5 also. And another thing about Joe, he definitely deserved this shot at MJF, especially when you know that he stepped up as a locker room leader after the mess at Wembley. So I think it's a great reward to just jump him right into a world title program.
What was I say? Tony's going, have a title shot. Please don't hurt me. Jaxie?
Yeah, please don't threaten my life and make me feel like I'm in danger. I agree with both of them. I think 3.5 for this match was sufficient.
Yes, 3.5. Predictions all went Joe. So James Jr. on 4, Jaxie, Monty on 3. We get Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin for the TNT title next. The only match that felt like had considerable build to it. As usual, Christian Cage was there. Nick Wayne was at ringside to support Allin. As soon as the match started, the Living Dinosaur took control. He used his superior power to decimate the risk taker with brutal offense. This almost wasn't a match. It was kind of like a mauling. It's hard to remember the last time Alan spent this much time being put through the ringer before making a comeback. Luchasaurus swung Darby into the steel stairs, which just looked nasty. Darby almost landed on his head after a German suplex. Christian threatened to hit Wayne with a chair, distract Alan long enough for Luchasaurus to hit 2 tombstones and a clothesline for the win. Jaxie, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? Because at the start, I thought we were going to get Lucha Kane, because Luchasaurus looks like he's gradually turning into Kane, but I'm not sure. And then when he hit the tombstone, I was like, you're fucking joking. But again, what were your thoughts on this match and the amount of punishment Darby took?
Yeah, again, I think you rightly pointed out, it's been a while since we've really seen a match where Darby's taken a full-on beating, you know? So he definitely just had his ass handed to him throughout that match. It was a good match. I feel probably overall disappointed, but that's me just sulking at, you know, what I sort of predicted. But the match was... It was good. It was like, for me, it was kind of frustrating in the sense of I don't know what they're going. I don't know what they're going, where they're going with like sort of Christian and Luchasaurus and this TNT championship sort of thing. Like, it's not to say that I'm not enjoying it, but I also don't really understand like how much longer we're going to kind of be going through this. It feels like it's just been like really slow paced. So I kind of thought that as a result, like they were just going to chuck the belt back on Darby because they don't know really what they're doing with Christian and Luchasaurus. So for me, this match did come as a bit of a shock at the end to see that he did retain it. But it just left me with more questions of, well, what are the future plans for Christian Cage and Luchasaurus going forward? Like, what are we doing with them at this point, you know?
It's the same thing with Darby as well. It's like, I don't want to see Darby Allin die in the ring, you know. And
No.
I just think the amount of bumps and stuff that he's doing, it is making me uncomfortable at this moment. So I'm not going to lie.
Definitely. I mean, especially when you rewatch the All-In coffin match and like the coffin drops that he was doing on top of a coffin. It just, you know, Darby, please look after yourself.
Well, I guess as well. Who asked Gina this question? I guess Sting didn't fancy it. You know, because when Darby is getting beaten down, Sting just didn't want to make an appearance. It took the roster to come out to save him this time.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think Sting was like, you know what, every time I try and go for a table, I got to hit it twice. I need a couple weeks off. Like, I'm just not even
I
there.
just worked last week.
Plus, he's like,
see me in England? Like,
he's like, you got your little Nick Wayne there to look after you. So I'm going to tag out tonight and, you know, put my feet up with a takeaway and Netflix and chill. But
unless
yeah.
Unless he got really bitchy, he was like, you put on face painting and Nick Wayne. Yeah, you walk into the ring.
You try and do what Sting can do.
Yeah.
That's how it felt for sure. I am, there is, the reason I went with Darby as well is because for me, there is a kind of repetitiveness when it comes to a TNT champion. Whoever has that belt that is not Darby will challenge for it. You know, like the belt like is Darby's and he constantly is going for it. And I just thought to myself, well, he's kind of tried to go for this belt, get it back. He's not been successful, lost it, and then, you know, Luchasaurus got it. I just figured he'd get it back at this point, and they'd do the whole Luchasaurus is sick of Christian Cage at the end of this match, and yeah, he'll turn on Christian and just hit him and be like, you weren't ever the champ, you know, sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that didn't happen. So it is a little bit like my sister said. I get what they're doing with Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, and it is kind of funny sometimes listening to Christian act as if he's the champion when you didn't do shit to get that belt. But there is also like, okay, what are you doing next? Because this seems quite repetitive now. Like, what's going on? Where are you going with this? When are you pulling the plug? Or are you going to continue with this, but do a different type of feud and not with Darby? Because it always feels like it's the same, you know? So I think there needs to be a change up at some point. But yeah, I thought it was going to be here.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Again, sometimes an uncomfortable watch, but we're going to score it out of 5. So, Jaxie, start us off. What would you score this out of 5?
I'm gonna give it a 3 and a 3.25.
3.25. Gina, what about you?
Do you know, I'll be a bit different because like Darby Allin was getting battered in this match. So I'm gonna give him 3 3/4.
3/4. What's your score list? And were you uncomfortable at times with just the bumps Darby was taking?
Yeah, I think I was more uncomfortable with the context because something got to change. Because I just seen another quote like this from Moxley about his arthritis and how he can't do it for wrestling shows before noon. He wouldn't be able to do it because he can't get out of the bed.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, wow. And then you hear Darby after Wembley say, the casket bump has his back in serious problems, and it's just like, all right, man, I love you guys for entertaining us, but like, take some time off. Like, you don't, like, seriously, we don't need you to do this. And then when you see the bumps he's taking right after giving this quote, I'm like, something got to change. Either you guys need to stop telling me you're hurt, because you're working me, or you need to stop wrestling this style, dog. Because what the hell if your back is hurt? Because it's like Luchasaurus was trying. Oh, you said, you told me that your back hurt, huh? Well, guess what? You finna take every thing I could possibly give you on your back and neck. So yeah, it was definitely uncomfortable. And I think at this point, that's Darby's. That's one of his sticks, and that's not a good long-term wrestler stick, in my opinion. It's not really a good gimmick to have.
It didn't work out for Mikey Ripwreck. So
right, it didn't work. Anybody you can think of, like look how many times Mick had to stop and start. Mick Foley, who we know was great, but he put his body on the line so many times. By the end there, he could barely move in a lot of his matches because of that's why he had to stop or not wrestle as frequently because of stuff like that. So again, anyone we can think of who, like you said, who makes a career out of just throwing their body through hell, except maybe Jeff Hardy. But now we're at that point with Jeff. But it took Jeff a while, like into his early 40s, to finally get seriously hurt. But still, besides that anomaly, it's not really a good long-term type of thing. So yeah, I definitely was uncomfortable, and I would give it 3 3/4, just like you mentioned. He took sick bumps. It's hard for me to give it anything lower than that, even if it wasn't, like you said, the most insane match or anything. And I also want to say this: I'm not on I understand what you guys said about the Luchasaurus thing, but like, and the only bad thing I get from it is, like you guys mentioned, at this point, when I saw Luchasaurus was wrestling the match, I was almost shocked because I basically blurred in my mind that Christian is the champion. So like, that's bad. I don't care what you say. As good as Christian is on the mic, that's not good when you forget who the champion is. Even though I know that's pretty much the angle. That's the point of the angle at this point. So at some point it will happen. We'll see. But I do want to see like what's going to change. What's going to make Luchasaurus finally realize he's being used? Because it's been obvious to everybody else. Like right now, he's still just a big mute idiot, if you ask me. But hey, I never tell him that to his face.
No, well, Christian needs to if we're going to treat him like Kane, then you need Christian to turn on Luchasaurus. So, but that's not happening
right
at this moment in time, So it's a bit weird what they are going to do. But yeah, 3 3/4 out of 5 for that one. Predictions: Monty and I went for Luchasaurus. Gina and Jaxie went Darby Allin. So at the moment, I'm on 5 points. Gina and Monty on 4. Jaxie on 3. Looks like she's brought a WWE form to AEW. We get Miro versus Powerhouse Hobbs next, with big meaty men slapping meat. I mean, if Big E was watching this, he'll be having a great time. You could see the sweat flying off both men whenever they'd hit each other. That's how much you knew they weren't holding back. Fans chanting meat over and over again was awesome. The fans actually helped this make it better. Miro applied the game over, but Hobbs got to his feet and drove Miro to the turnbuckle. He caught him with a spine buster for 2. Miro came back with his own spine buster and then applied game over, and Hobbs tapped out. He shook hands to a standing ovation, but Hobbs attacked Miro before he could leave the ring. Then CJ Perry made her AEW to save her husband with a steel chair, allowing Miro to recover, but he didn't seem happy about seeing her.
Yo.
Whoa, Monty, you unpack that then. Go on. What the fuck did that mean at the end? Like, it's his wife? Was he expecting it?
That's my thing, man. What's up? After WWE did this, AEW, Like, why the hell are we so determined to split them up whenever they're in a company together? Like they are. We get it. I'm kind of interested. Now I'm joking about that point, but it is funny to me that this married couple that everyone knows is married in two companies now. One of the main angles you want to try is to split them up. It's very funny, or have some type of dissension between them. But I am interested to see where Miro's character, because he did denounce and say he's done with the God stuff. He's done with his hot, sexy wife or whatever he was calling her. So, flexible, hot and flexible, whatever the gimmick is. They had that on her Tron. Didn't they put flexible on her Tron? Okay, so I expect her to do some splits or something just for the hell of it, I guess, whenever the time comes. But anyway, the point is, great to see CJ, because some people hated Lana, whatever. I always liked her, especially on the mic. So maybe with the character work, maybe we'll get some understanding of where they want to go with it. I just think it's funny that this couple that we all know is a married couple, happily married, are always getting split up on television. But we'll see how that plays out. But I also want to say, like you said, Big E would love this match. It wasn't Gunther or Sheamus or anything, but you couldn't tell that crowd that, because that crowd was into everything. And I got to give Chicago their props, because they really made this match, in my opinion, way better than it was. Not that it was bad. It was really, really good. But the crowd, like you said, the meat chant, come on, man. Like, how many times do you think you're going to get that from a crowd? And just like, it was special. It felt very special. And I was happy for both guys, because although Hobbs lost, and that might be my only, thing, like, I hate that Hobbs has to lose these situations, because I think he can definitely be a big star if he starts to win in these situations finally. But, he did still in the end up looking strong. I was definitely shocked that CJ decided to even hit him with a chair. That took me by surprise. I didn't even think he was going to do anything but try to distract him. But, hey, it worked out. I'm interested to see where they go, though. It's confusing at first, but I am interested to see what's the new twist. How can you try to make this work? Because WWE failed miserably trying to do this. Like, I think twice. Bobby Lashley, Dolph Ziggler, I think they failed two or three different times, I think, trying to get this going when it comes to splitting up Lana and Miro, or CJ and Miro in this situation. So I would love to see AEW's twist on that story. At least what do they try to do differently, and will it work?
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? I mean, first off, I can't remember the last time I saw thousands of men with meat coming out of their mouths. I mean, it's going to be a while since I've seen it. And also, another thing, I'm going to say, people are going to be like, what? Miro's entrance theme reminds me of the Dinosaurs TV show entrance. If you go back and listen to the first 30 seconds of that Dinosaurs TV show, it is Miro's theme. Enough said there. Jaxie, this was great, though, wasn't it? I mean, it's exactly what we wanted when two big powerhouses are going through it, just throwing each other around the ring.
I really used to like that dinosaur show. I remember exactly which one you're on about.
1991, James.
Literally have.
Come on, bro.
There's a baby dinosaur in my head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the theme. I need to actually listen to the theme, because now that you've said it, I don't know if you're correct. I need to hear
that. That's the start of it, though. Like.
Come on, man.
Hey,
you at least get into the 2000s, James. Come on, man. Like,
the dinosaur show was actually really good.
Come on, man. I wasn't even born, dude. Like, all right, I'm leaving.
Okay. We were, all right? So I appreciate
I'm sorry.
We only watched it a couple of years ago, Monty, thanks to Disney.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean...
we didn't...
Oh.
Anyway.
Sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect the elderly. I'm sorry. Moving on.
Now it's master for something.
Yes. So let's get back to talking about the match and not the dinosaur show. We really digressed there. I really enjoyed this show, and I actually think Monty is right. I think that the fans in attendance actually helped hype this match up, even from watching it via camera and TV. Just hearing the big, massive meat chants were literally getting you so hyped at home watching it. And I really enjoyed this. I really would have loved for this match to have gone like a couple minutes longer and actually had it to the point where the clash of alpha male egos that literally just rolled out to the ring and they had a double count out. I agree with Monty that like it really sucks to have seen Miro lose here. And I would have been really happy that if these two just kept on pummeling each other, not listening to the ref and just like missed hearing the 10 count. I think that would have worked as well. You know, I'm hoping that like Will Hobbs will still like kind of have a lot kind of going forward. I don't believe this is going to be the end between him and Miro. Yeah, the Lana thing, CJ Perry, it was so nice to see her. I actually got excited seeing her come out. You know, she's a badass. Everyone might want to give her certain flack for certain stuff that happened in WWE, but I think overall she is a really great worker. She's been resilient and doing the best of what she can do with what she was given in WWE. She was highly entertaining on the mic. So I was really excited to see her. And then Miro Erzer, I was shouting at my TV. I was like, Miro, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, sis, what did you say to me? Sis, what did you say to me the other day?
That Miro was at a Taylor Swift concert with Lana the other week. So why are you acting like you don't know who the
So, like, why are we going with this? Why are we doing this? Because, like my sister said, they were at a Taylor Swift concert the week before. So why are we doing it like you weren't just spending these whole past few months talking about your hot, flexible wife?
I love you at home, but don't come to work with that stuff, man. No, just
people know we're together. But speaking about being together, like, and Gina asked you this because it's interesting to think the way Hobbs is now. Right, it makes perfect sense to have him team with another superstar who kind of needs a partner, and that would be why would they ever break up Hobbs and Starks? Like
Starks, yep.
Like Starks and Hobbs together would be perfect now, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I said this to Jaxie the other day. I literally said the minute they turned Starks heel again, he literally should have been put back with Hobbs. I don't know why or where or Big Bill comes into this, but I'm really sorry. It just doesn't work for me, him with Starks. Put him back with Hobbs. Their connection was, you could just feel that they were a better tag team even together as a tag team and just, you know, in supporting each other. Even with Hook, I actually loved them when they were sort of team, was it Team Taz they called themselves or something? I actually really loved that. I loved their whole faction. I loved Hook. He was a little shit in the corner who wasn't actually in matches, but he was still being a little shit. You know, Hobbs was like the big daddy and Starks is like the charismatic twat, you know? And because you turn him back to that charismatic twat, surely it makes sense to put him back with Hobbs. And I'm not saying for them to get back in the title picture. They can still have their own individual stories, but I just think it works best, you know, they have a better relationship than Starks and Big Bill.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That doesn't work for me, you know? So, like, I don't know what's going on there. But I definitely agree. This was one of my favorite matches. I was really excited for this match to come on the card. It was probably one of my more excited matches when it was announced. So I do agree. I wish that they both got a count out or they both got DQ'd or something because they were just too busy wanting to just break each other, you know, because I feel like Hobbs really does deserve a bit of a push. And I don't mean push him straight for a title, but I think people need to actually take Hobbs seriously in terms of a singles wrestler and that he can get those wins behind him. And obviously Miro we didn't want him to lose because it's kind of his return match. So that wouldn't have made sense either. So yeah, I definitely wish that they had done that sort of angle. And I also wish when they brought Lana/CJ, however she's going to go, when she came out and she had the balls to hit Will on the back, that was great. When he turned around and started kind of walking up to her, she should have just kicked him in the balls. Yeah. Like, because it kind of just felt a little bit pointless after the hit with the chair. Okay, well, if you weren't going to like do the splits and dodge a punch from Hobbs, then kick him in the balls or something to make your presence here still a little bit more relevant.
It's how you greeted me at Wembley. So, you know,
yeah,
definitely.
Whoa. Big Kick City.
But no, I'm just saying, like, I could be the most gentle person out there, and I pretty much am, especially compared to my twin.
But if someone is squaring up to my man, whether you're a man, woman, anyone, however you want to identify, if someone's squaring up to my man, I'm sorry, I'm like a little chihuahua. You got a problem with my man, you got a problem with me, and I'm going to keep scrapping with you. So Lana, for me, I feel like she should have done more to make more of an impact to her.
Roger nuts, fellas.
I'm taking applications, guys. But yeah, I just feel like she could have done more to showcase her return a little bit, other than play the ghost wife.
Yeah. Right, so scores for this one. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, I'll give it a strong 4, maybe 4.25. It was, I get that quarter is just for the fan. I think the match itself probably is about a 4, but they deserve at least a half a star or a star by themselves. They made it special.
Right, Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm going 4.25 as well, except for that quarter that I'm giving is actually for CJ Perry coming out and making that sort of like AEW debut. I was excited to think about what things are in store for her. So, just overall, a really great match, a 4 overall between both Miro and Will Hobbs. I really hope that this continues between them. I'm not ready to not see another match between them.
Yeah. And Gina?
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
4.5. I'm going to give it a 4.5 as well. Predictions all went Miro, so I'm on 6. Gina on Monty on 5. Jaxie on 4. The TBS title next with Chris Statlander versus Ruby Soho. Statlander's entrance gear was great, and so was Ruby's special hairdo she'd done for this event. And you could tell both were looking to make an impression because they're not taking it easy on each other in the slightest. This may have been the only women's match on the main card, but the champion and challenger made sure no one would forget it. Soho count along with a ref while she was choking Statlander on the bottom rope was so funny, and she hit No Future from the top rope, followed by Destination Unknown, but Statlander kicked out. Toni Storm appeared from under the ring and appeared to help Statlander retain the title, much to the surprise of Saray and Soho. And I got to say one thing, Ruby. You should have realised from Pretty Deadly that custom gear is great, but make sure you win. Otherwise, not that great. Jaxie, the only women's match on the main card, did it deliver for you?
I mean, in some ways, yes, it did. There was a certain moments that I really enjoyed about this match. Can I firstly just actually give a shout out to Chris Statlander with that Zoolander get up? He was dressed like Ben Stiller from Zoolander, and it was brilliant. I actually loved it. So I have to give her credit for her outfit. I thought this was a great match between Ruby and Chris. I really enjoy seeing Ruby, be able to let loose. I kind of feel like she's been very not underrepresented or underused actually within Outcasts. It's been very much a lot about Toni Storm and Saraya. Like even when it came to the All-In match, she had made an appearance in there, but it was very brief. So I was really happy that she was actually being given this time with Chris. I feel like the match could have gone a bit longer, but I'm not going to complain here because hey, Tony hates women just as much as Vince at this point. I was really interested to actually see Tony just come out and screw up Ruby's chances. I definitely I just think that this is a really fun character that I was not expecting from Tony. But again, I feel like this has overshadowed the match itself. This was Ruby's match. It's meant to be about Ruby, and yet Toni Storm has come in being the elegant diva that she is with this Marilyn Monroe persona that she's got going on, this diva persona she's got going on. It's definitely one that I'm going to have to kind of keep my eye on and see whether or not things can go further. Personally, even though I love Chris as champion, but personally, I would have actually loved Ruby to have picked up the belt, right? And then had just a series of a few months, maybe just even a month, of this dramatic Tony being kind of like the snake of the group, kind of trying to weasel her way into a match with either Ruby or Saraya, to take one of their titles, or just doing backstage stints of like her walking off with one of their belts and they're like, where's my belt? And them having to go find Tony who's like holding it or something. So I thought that there would have been a really fun element here to have actually given Ruby the belt and actually had like the Outcasts carry the gold with a dramatic Tony trying to grab it from them.
Yeah.
Didn't go that way, but it was a fun idea for a concept, you know?
Well,
I wonder where things
that,
will go.
or have, like you said, Tony create a title herself. And everybody's saying to her, it's not the real title, but thinking that they are, you know, all champions. Or yeah, it's a really good idea.
Yeah. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but I think overall the match was okay. I think if there was a bit more build-up and went a bit longer, it probably could have been like a great match for both women. Not to say it wasn't, but it was just an okay match. You know, I don't really feel like there was enough emotion, like for emotional investment to. Investment into believing that Chris was going to lose here, though. You know.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? You know, and I think we saw it. This was kind of good fun, but for me I weren't sure really prediction-wise either till Ruby started going, "You've never beaten me," and then as soon as someone starts saying that, you think, do you know what? I think Statlander's got this. But the finish is a bit weird. But Monty, as Jack said, the Tony Storm character's great, but there's space on the card for Tony Storm and this match and another, you know, even like Britt Baker and Sheeda feud, you know?
No, it's definitely space on the card. Like we talked about, there's a lot of things that happen on the not just the 0 hour, but the 0 hour is a great example of how most of that you can say we didn't necessarily need, and then you can put a women's match there or a women's feud there. Not counting the women's tag match from the 0 hour. So, you know, I think. You got, or just like even early in the card, you know, as much as I love Shane Taylor and getting a chance to see him, you know, you could do that Samoa Joe angle backstage and then put a women's match in place of that. You know, you could have. But anyway, the point is, it was still like you're making great points there. I think also to piggyback off an earlier point that was made about like a women's tag division, even if it's not a belt, that gives more women not only opportunities on the show, but at least you give some variety to where we always not just looking for the one women's title match on a particular card. You have at least something going on, active feuds. Even if you want to mix in and have two completely different active feuds in one tag match or three, you know, you can do that. You can have fun, flexibility with that style, in my opinion, if you book more variety in the women's division. But to talk about this match is really good. You know, Ruby gave a really good performance here, really solid. And I thought Statlander looked very strong. Because you got to think, she pretty much kicked out both Ruby's finishers and, you know, and still came out on top, even with the Tony interference. And to talk about Tony, I really love what she did because that's what the greats do. Tony Storm, in my opinion, did something because you got to understand, like, her gimmick for a long time has been like the punk rock or like the rocker chick, very cool. And like she's made that work a lot, but at the end of the day, we can make the case that the entire Outcast gimmick, besides the fact that they're anti, you know, like original AEW women, they're all kind of got like a little punk rock or a little, you know, something going on, rocker girl in them. That's something else they kind of had in common. So for her to flip it and do a completely different character and to be so good at it so far, the entire like old Hollywood actress style gimmick, it's just been beautiful. She's knocked it out of the park. And it's kind of funny to me that I thought she was kind of stale as AEW Women's Champion, but I wouldn't mind her be staying around the title picture now with this new character, because again, it just shows you how well, when something is fresh, how good it can really be and how you just want to see more of it. No shot at the champions who are currently on top. Because, again, I think Chris is probably going to have another lengthy run. I think that's as much as they like to pass around the belts for the AEW women's division sometimes, the TBS title has been pretty constant. So they seem to be going with they're going to build up Statlander as another dominant champion. Don't know if she'll go as long as Jade, but I do think it's going to be a lengthy, strong run. And I love everything she's been doing since returning. Again, you just want to see more of these ladies being allowed to do more often, like just together, you know, whether it's storytelling, whether it's matches, you just want them to all to have more opportunities. There's no reason, in my opinion, why the TBS and the women's AEW Women's Championship are never really on the same card anymore. I understand they're both world championships, but like you can squeeze in more than one segment like this for the ladies, and I think it'll do everyone more justice to just freshen things up. We get plenty of variety in all the men's divisions, or at least plenty of things like I mentioned earlier that you're wondering why it's here. But we don't even get that in the women's division. You don't even get many of the random matches of like, well, why is this here in the women's division? You know, every now and then they add something, but it's usually in the same position. But yeah, I think everyone killed this in this situation. I thought this was really good. And I think I'm gonna end up with like 3 3/4 for the match. It was a really good match, and I don't mind the angle too. Even again with Toni Storm switching up her character, she sticks out now from the outcast. So if she's gonna be leaving or whatever, it makes a lot of sense for her to do her own thing under this new character. And she got me I'm in the point where I can't wait to see what she do on a weekly basis, and that's a good spot to be in.
Yeah, I think without a shadow of a doubt. Gina, what are you gonna score this out of 5?
I actually enjoyed this match because I am a fan of Ruby Soho. So I gave it a 4 just because I enjoyed the match. I would have absolutely loved it if when Toni came out, for some reason, I said to my sister, it would have been brilliant if she had like some sage and was burning some sage and running around the bottom of the ring. And she's like, I'm just burning some sage for good luck for the match, you know. I just figured something crazy like that. They need to keep doing it with Toni because I am actually enjoying this character change for her. And I'm just enjoying even her backstage interviews she has with Renee. And she's like, watch for the shoe. And then she just throws her shoe, you know? So it's brilliant. So yeah, I gave it a 4, but I think it's just because I enjoy both the women that were involved in the match, and Toni I am a bit of a fan of at the moment. So my score is quite biased.
Yeah. No, it's true, though. The chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe. Jaxie.
Yeah.
Score this out of 5.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4 as well. I actually enjoyed the match, but I just feel like there was lack of build up. But again, it kind of created some dramatics, you know, to the match with Toni involving herself. So we'll see where things go for the Outcast, because that's the bigger question that came out of this at the end of the match was, you know, how much longer are they going to put up with Tony's shit?
Exactly, yeah. Well, predictions, I went 4 for that as well. Predictions, we went Statlander. So I'm on 7, Gina Monty on 6, Jaxie on 5. And we've got the strap match, Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks. Danielson came out to final countdown. But before the ref could attach the strap to Starks, he attacked Danielson and started using his own weight belt as a weapon. He used the buckle on his fist to bust Danielson open. Watch the match got going. Starks had a big advantage, dragged Danielson around the ring and used the ring and the strap to inflict as much damage as possible. American Dragon eventually managed to take control, dished out just as much punishment as he took. Starks mocking the yes chants for fun. The crowd gave him a great action, but it was the sound of the strap hitting like Starks' back which was so loud. Danielson took some hard shots from the strap to the face and just asked for more. Of course, Big Bill got involved, and Ricky Steamboat knocked him down a peg or two. The American Dragon then choked Starks out with a strap to win the match. Gina, I got to ask you, what are your thoughts? Because, again, I thought the biggest takeaway from this was not Starks going toe-to-toe with Danielson, but the fact he didn't give up at the end. Your man is coming through.
Yeah, he's a stubborn prick, isn't he? No, definitely. I definitely agree with you. I think the match, worked well for both Starks and Danielson. I was obviously entertained, not just for Ricky Starks reasons, but I just thought the match itself was great. They both didn't hold back, but they also worked really well together. I have a feeling if Starks decided to swap Big Bill for a certain other partner I may have mentioned previously, maybe he would have got this win, because Hobbs is consistent at least. No offense, Big Bill, but even though you're big, you haven't exactly got racked up a big load of wins, have you? So, for me, I am a bit bitter because my man should have had his original partner in his corner. But getting over that, I loved the fact that Starks didn't tap. I think it wouldn't have done anything bad for Starks. I think he's got a really good relationship with the crowd and the fans regardless because he's quite charismatic. But I think in terms of trying to keep him still on a level where they were just pushing him in feuds with Punk as well, I think it's good having him just kind of pass out at the end rather than tap or lose to a 3 count, you know? So for me, the match worked, and I think it did well for what they were trying to do with the story. And it was just nice to see, obviously, Danielson get a bit of retribution for the original Dragon. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I completely agree. And again, I'm going to do another old reference, but Ricky Starks looked a bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall with his eyes popping out at the end. Ricky Starks,
Yeah, I get you there.
That's all I pictured. But Gina, I mean, you've been following Starks closely, maybe too closely. Do you think this is best performance in AEW?
I mean, yeah, I think it helps with who he worked with to bring out that type of performance. We've seen him have great matches, and we've rated him highly for some of the other matches he's had, but I think it helped going against Bryan Danielson because he's just amazing himself. Like we've all said on this channel at various different times, we think Bryan Danielson's probably one of the best in the world out of wrestlers. So I think he just brought out an even better side for Ricky. So yeah, I would agree and say this is probably one of the best performances we've seen him have. But I definitely think that his person who he was going against helped.
I agree, but apparently in the afterwards, the media scrum, Danielson said it was Ricky who carried him during this one. So I mean, that's incredible to think. But
my man is just so hot, isn't he?
But, I mean, Monty, it's crazy because we talked about Punk earlier. When CM Punk left Ring of Honor, Danielson became Ring of Honor World Champion. When Punk left WWE, Danielson main event of WrestleMania 30 and won the WWE title. So now Danielson's going to go on the run of his career thanks to Punk. And this is the start of it because he loves this shit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves it almost scarily too much when you think about the fact that he broke his arm, and I'm not saying, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he got cleared, but I'm just saying for him to be already back and wrestling like that is crazy. But like that's again, that's part of what Danielson is. You know, he takes a lot of damage, but he also can dish it out. And I think this match was awesome. And you're 100% right. It's kind of funny how Danielson's always kind of got to pick up the pieces or kind of be able to benefit from a lot of the times where Punk is gone or, you know, things happen like it did. But and I got to give him props for stepping in short notice and finishing this storyline in a proper way. Like even Tony for coming up with the whole, you know, dragging kind of swerve leading into this and then getting a strap match of this quality from it. You can't ask for better when you think about the circumstances of the fact that this was definitely supposed to be Punk's situation and match. And this match was so good. I think Ricky definitely made a true star out of himself. Not that he wasn't already one, but I think when you have a match like this to this level, even if it is in there with a guy like Danielson and you get him saying that you carried him, which I think he kind of needed the help too, because not only, like I said, it's short notice. He's still wrestling after that major injury that he had in the ring. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he's being, I don't think he's lying when he said Ricky kind of carried him here. So I think that's just the ultimate kind of salute to what Ricky can do as a worker. So he's definitely become a bigger star. And that was the goal of this entire thing. I think even with Punk, the payoff was supposed to be that Ricky is the star, even if he doesn't get his hand raised. And I think they executed the finish perfectly for that result. And I can't wait to see. I think the only way that it means anything is if Tony pulls the trigger and gives Ricky an all-time title run, wherever title he decides. The thing is, where do you go when you think about the direction of Collision? Like, what would be that title? How do you do it? What do you like? Do you now, since Max is kind of babyface like after the Joe situation, do you go with a Ricky and Max type of feud at some point for the real title? You never know, but I think he definitely should be in that conversation now after a moment like this and having a match like this, because I've been watching Ricky since his NWA days, and when I first kind of became familiar of him on the indie scenes, and I was just like, yo, I think this guy, you can see he always had the charisma. You can see he has something, and he's only gotten better. And I think that's the beauty of so far Ricky Starks' career, to watch where he's started at with FTW belt team tag and to see where he is now, yeah, man, he has a bright, super, super bright future. And like I said, kudos to Brian for stepping in, being the locker room leader, now supposed to be one of the people helping call the shots for Collision too. I can't wait to see what his booking vision or what he thinks, and how he decides to do things. Like Tony Khan said, if something was to happen to him, he would put Danielson pretty much in the head of the booking going forward if something was to happen to him. And he, that's how much he seems to trust Danielson. And I think I love Danielson as a wrestler. I love where his wrestling mind goes as a wrestler. So it would be interesting to see how does that translate to Collision and how he decide, how does his decision making play out on television if he truly has the power that the reports say that he has. But either way it goes, he's awesome. This is an awesome match. I gave 5 stars overall.
Yeah, I mean, Jaxie, just imagine if this had more than 24 hours build to it. It was a great match, but everything else on the line. So Jaxie, what would you score this out of as well?
I think that this was Ricky's best match to date. I think him and Danielson really worked well together. Their chemistry was just really it was infectious to watch. They really trusted one another with a lot of the moves that took place and just really produced some really great content that left the audience going so loud at certain points. Overall, I have to agree with Monty. I think that this is a 5-star caliber match. Definitely Ricky's best match to date, in my opinion. And I actually see a lot more in the future for him. I do see this as sort of a stepping stone for him to actually really solidify himself as a wrestler, and build and start building that career record that he probably desires so much. I would eventually like it if he's going to stay heel to return with Will Hobbs. I think they made a great duo, but right now, just seeing what he's able to produce as a singles wrestler has been so great to watch. So yeah, this match is really 5-star.
Gina, what are you going to score?
It's a 5-star, obviously.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I'm going to go for 3. It doesn't get the 5 just because it's 24-hour build. Like I said, great match, but 4 3/4. Predictions: Gina went Starks, the rest went Brian. So it means I'm on 8, Monty's on 7, Gina, Jaxie on 6. Nigel tried to keep things together, but we find out that Adam Page's charity is Teachers in Chicago. Great. Eden and Shibata versus Blackpool Combat Club, Utah and Castagnoli. Cool Shooter and Shibata have got issues go back months. Kingston and Claudius go back years. Tags start to feel meaningless after a little while, but it's not uncommon in AEW. It's a discretion when it comes to this kind of thing. We had comedy, drama, hard hit strikes, and just about everything else. And the BCC picked up the win after Castagnoli hit a huge uppercut on Kingston to get the pin. Now, Monty, I don't know about you, but I thought the finish was kind of sudden. But there was another thing that happened in this match. The shot Utah from Shibata, and that made Nigel said he never wants to wrestle again. That's how hard that shot was.
Oh, it was beautiful. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yuta is still a young boy. I think that's one of those things you got to kind of remind, especially to a lot of the New Japan guys. Like Willa Yuta is just a young boy to them. So they try to beat the hell out of him. And I think that's kind of that young boy treatment, that type of shot. And it's just, that's Shibata. That's the wrestler. I mean, he did a lot in this match that just shows you just why he's so great at what he does. And he's a legend. And I don't even, like I said, I love him as pure champion, but I really don't think Tony Khan realized what he has on his hand sometimes when it comes to Shibata. But, I'm not to say that they use him wrong. I'm just saying that he's just that special in my opinion. But, again, this match, like you said, definitely the finish was sudden, even though I did kind of like the whole, Shibata was trying to hold off Wheeler, choking him out because he thought that was helping. And then, the suddenness of the finish kind of playing into why Shibata couldn't save him for the finish. But it's like, again, my big beef with this match, even though I thought it ended up being really good and I don't mind them continuing, is, again, I just kind of wanted Eddie to continue. I wanted Eddie to, whatever he needs to do to make Claudio give him a shot, a legitimate shot, one-on-one. So maybe I thought that would help him to win. They still can accomplish it if he loses here, so it really ain't not that big of a deal. But again, I just wanted Eddie to pick up victory after victory as much as he can because, again, Claudio hates him and don't respect him to the point to where he won't even look at him and didn't even want to fight him for most of the match. So, again, I love everything they do. But if we're being honest, they've kind of been dragging this along. So I can't wait to see when are we finally going to get that payoff of Eddie Kingston prevailing over his bitter rival. Because, yes, they've been feuding for years, a long time. But you can always come back to that because that's the type of rivalry they have. But just dragging it long, you can run the risk of it kind of getting, stale. But I understand, it was breaks in between. Eddie went away. So you can – I'm not trying to say this is getting stale. I'm just saying that can happen if you keep putting it off. But eventually, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. So I'm just looking forward to that moment. But I'm disappointed that Eddie couldn't get the win. But other than that, good match.
Yeah, what frustrated me was – again, I don't know if it's just because I've been watching more New Japan recently, but usually tag matches, champion get pinned, and then that kind of gives you the faces a little bit more. I'm not making excuses for my predictions, of course. But, again, this was a little bit weird. I mean, Jaxie, you went for the BCC. Is there any reason behind it?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. Monty's reasoning as to why he had figured that Eddie was going to win, I thought the opposite state. I felt like this isn't over, and this is like only the beginning of this long-standing feud we're going to get between Claudio and Eddie. And I felt like here was going to be that stepping moment where Eddie was really going to start losing his shit because he's not getting a chance to get at Claudio, and then even hear it in a tag match with Shibata, and yet still they're Eddie's not getting one over on Claudio. So personally for me, I thought this match was really great. As you said with Yuta, like I think like there was a part of me that like felt like he really stood out as like, kind of being educated by Shibata with that move. It was absolutely devastating. Yeah, I just thought this match was great.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. So Gina, what are your thoughts on this, and what would you score out of 5?
Well, I gave it a 4.5 because I thought it was a really great match, and I really enjoyed just seeing every single person that was involved in this match. So I think it definitely like got 4.5 because just everything was happening everywhere, and I kind of like the chaosness of it. I will say that I feel like a bit biased towards the BCC, but I don't know why. Even if I want the other team to win, I end up still rooting for them when I'm watching the match, if that makes sense. I wanted Eddie to get this win. I know he's got beef with Claudio, and I'm so deep down, I'm feeling I want Eddie to win this. But when I'm watching the match, I'm getting excited and cheering on the BCC, going like, come on. So it's hard for me because I feel like I've got an unconscious bias towards the BCC, and I don't know why. But I was thoroughly entertained because, like I said, I liked every single person in this match, so that's why I gave it a 4.5.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, I give it a 4. Pretty good match.
Yeah, and Jaxie?
I gave this a 4 3/4.
Wow, I gave it a 3.5. That's it. Maybe just the event was getting a bit long at this point. I'd forgotten about a couple of matches because it felt like the show was going along at a nice pace, and then all of a sudden you go, "Oh Jesus Christ, we've still got this one and this one." Predictions,
right? Still got 3 matches.
Yeah, Jaxie and Gina went Blackpool Combat Club. James and Monty went faces. So I'm still in the lead, 8 points to 7. The rest are on 7. It's Kenny Omega versus Kazuki Takeshita, and this is a feud between Omega and his former mentor Don Callis. The match started surprisingly normal with a lock-up exchange. Maybe they forgot. It didn't take him long, though, to start hitting the big moves. Omega landed on his head after a suplex on Takeshita. The springboard dropkick did not hit smart, but it still hit Takeshita in the legs, so they made it work. Takeshita landed on Omega's knees when he jumped off the top rope. That looked incredibly painful. There was a great Blue Thunder bomb off the top. The reverse Hurricane, maybe one of the best executions of that move that we've seen in a while. And after several close 2 counts, Takeshita ended up getting what many would call an upset win when he got a huge knee strike for the victory. So Gina, Omega loses again, and the biggest win of Takeshita's career. Were you surprised?
I definitely was surprised, especially because of course we've had like tag matches and things with them between them, and Takeshita got the win at All In. Yeah, All In. Sorry, I keep getting them confused. Takeshita got the win over Kenny at All In as well. So that was quite shocking for me. I was like, okay, Kenny's getting retribution in this match and he's gonna win it. So I was surprised that he didn't get that win, but I was also very, very happy for Takeshita. I know that the crowd hate Don Callis and therefore they hate Takeshita as well. But I think that this feud that they're doing for him is helping build Takeshita so well. And I really look forward to seeing him. I don't look forward to seeing Don. Don still does my nutting. But I'm really liking the way Takeshita wrestles, and I'm just looking forward to each match of his more and more, the more I see of him.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't play devil's advocate. And Monty, I'll ask you, because you've probably seen Kenny Omega more than we have. Is it a surprise he's putting so many people over this year? And does it lessen the impact of, Will Ospreay getting a victory or someone else if he's jobbing out to Takeshita? Or might it just be negative?
Maybe you are being a little negative. I think, honestly, I understand what you're saying. I definitely don't think it hurts Ospreay because, again, the situation where they were in Canada, the way the match went, that's impossible. It's hard to really hurt him with the quality of that match and the way everything played out in that situation. And then I also think if you just got to look at it from the point of view of what it's doing for Takeshita, I think it's it's not necessarily all the time how the fact that you're losing when you're in a position that Omega is in. I think a lot of times it got a lot to do with who you're losing to, how you're losing. And I think since it's Takeshita and the way things have been done, and you can just tell they're propping him up to be this new animal of a beast. The only way this is bad, in my opinion, is if Takeshita end up not being anywhere close to what we all think he has the potential of being. That's the only way this can come back and end up being a down, in my opinion. Because, again, they've made Takeshita look so strong. Now, yes, it's still shocking that he's losing this much. And as someone who watched him a lot in New Japan, he's definitely one of those guys who did not lose in these situations a lot. But I do understand if you want to make new stars, like we talk about this all the time when a lot of people talk about WWE. If you want to make new stars, a lot of times the people who are established, who you feel like are untouchable, has to take defeat sometimes. Now, again, you don't want to start doing this a lot. You don't want to start doing this for everyone. But I do think if they continue to pick their spots. Now, I know it looked bad because it's 2 in a row or whatever. But since it's doing some wonders for Takeshita and it's happened for a guy like Takeshita and the way it has happened, I think it doesn't really do a disservice for AEW quite yet. But if they turn into a trend, then yeah, maybe you're right. But right now, I think living in the moment and with the quality of this match and what I think Takeshita has the potential of being, I don't think this is a bad thing.
No, I mean, there's a difference between the Elite losing to Dark Order compared to Bullet Club, I suppose, and there's no doubt the last 5 minutes of this was great. Jaxie, what were your thoughts and what is your score out of 5?
Yeah, I was definitely shocked to not see Kenny pick up the win here, especially as we pointed out, sort of Konosuke got this sort of what we would call a fluke roll-up pin, at All In. So I was kind of shocked by this overall outcome. However, I'm a lot like Monty. This left me feeling very excited with what they're planning to do with Konosuke. To get 2 wins over Kenny Omega is a great achievement, And for me, I didn't see this as like like something bad to Kenny. Exactly like Monty said, this is the reason we have matches like this, to start building up our younger talent. And I believe that Konosuke actually is a very good wrestler. I think he's got a lot of potential to kind of be one of the greats in the future. And this is how you build those type of future stars, you know, having them against people like Kenny Omega, who is just as big a star, if not bigger, you know, like kind of coach and hone these guys and you know, bring the best out of them in these matches. So I really enjoyed this match, and even though I was really shocked by the outcome, I was really excited to know what's to come for Konosuke. I also believe that this doesn't mean that it will affect Kenny's future as a wrestler at all. I don't think Kenny can do any wrong at this point. I gave it a 4 3/4. I thought overall it was great. I thought the shock factor worked really well. No one saw this coming. And if you see like the pin itself and then the pan shot to the crowd were completely shocked. They did not see this coming. And that's the type of good wrestling you want. You don't want to always be able to read the outcome of the match before the match is even started. So yeah, this match overall was a really good one for me.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, I thought, again, I didn't have a problem with the match. I loved the match. It was really, really good. Like you said, it had strong points, especially towards the end. And again, with Takeshita pulling out the victory, definitely wasn't expecting it. But again, it was one of those times where I was like, when I was going into my predictions, I thought Kenny would win because of what happened at Wembley. But after looking at the match and thinking about what happened at Wembley, it was like, you know what, that's fine. Give him a definite win over Kenny, because I still don't think that this may not be over, especially with Don Callis being involved. So, you know, and like the way Tony tends the book, Kenny will probably win in the end. But if you let him, or even if you don't, and you just let this go away with time, Kenny could get revenge at a later date. But I do think that Takeshita in the end wins, and now going forward, you can see Takeshita doing big things in AEW if that's what they want to do. And I think that's what they should do.
Yeah, I mean, again, not show you a little bit, but it's even with, like, compare Kenny Omega to, like, The Undertaker. And when Mankind then debuted, all it took was a couple of victories in the first couple of matches. Then you could lose the feud over the next couple of years. But at the moment, like I said, Takeshita now is a made man in AEW with this. Gina, what about your score?
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute. I think I think for this one I gave it a 4 1/4. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but I also agree in the sense of I feel like Kenny also kind of wants to put Takeshita over. So I think he if he really would have had a problem with losing to Takeshita, then it wouldn't have gone that way, maybe. But I do see there being a third match between them and then Kenny getting the overall win. So I don't think it hurts him in any way.
Yeah. 4 1/4 for me. Their predictions all went Kenny. So it remains I'm on 9. The rest is on 8. And then Bullet Club Gold versus Young Bucks and FTR. As expected, the Chicago crowd were booing the Bucks every time they tagged in the match. Juice is one of those guys who always gets my attention, whether he's a legal competitor or not. He always does something funny or entertaining. The always sharpshooter spot was fun. Wheeler John on the super kick party was hilarious. But shockingly, and 2 results in a row here, the Bullet Club Gold continued its winning ways by scoring a victory over FTR and the Bucks. And to talk about the Bucks, they were fucking hated. But Jaxie, the Bullet Club, did the job here. You went for them as well. I mean, what were your thoughts on the match, and why did you go for it? You jammed. That's all I can say.
Well, I mean, I feel like it was a little bit self-explanatory, if I'm truly honest. Like, if you actually read between the lines about the frustrations that have been going on between the Bucks and FTR, especially with sort of like the outcome and the end of the match, at All In, you know, the Bucks not shaking hands with anyone, with either of them, just sort of walking off because they're frustrated. Even just kind of watching the backstage stint between like that, you know, kind of was meant to have happened or occurred just after All In, where I think it was FTR went to go and confront the Young Bucks about not shaking their hand. And there was still a little bit of like disgruntledness between both teams at that point. That being said, right now you've got like Bullet Club Gold, who really have just been doing an excellent job, not only just sort of from an entertainment factor, but I genuinely believe that this was exactly the right move that the Gun Club needed. I think them separating from Billy Gunn has really allowed them to kind of like do their own thing. And I think for a while it wasn't working for me, but actually seeing them teamed with Juice and Jay, they're really coming together as a faction. Even sort of the Gun Club's entrance used to not annoy me, but like I was like, oh, they're really irritating. It makes them even more irritating as a tag team. But now I just find myself highly entertained by all of them coming out, and it's using the Gun Club's entrance like sort of in the ring and the spotlight. I do believe that there was like a lot more that's going to come out of this, whether or not it's really the Gun Club and FTR / Young Bucks feuding, or whether or not it changes up slightly. I'm not sure, but I just felt like this really wasn't going to be the end. So for me, I went with Bullet Club Gold because I truly believe that they have more to do in getting under the skin and under in the mind of FTR and Young Bucks. So yeah, I'm excited to see where more things go with this match, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, like you say, I really like the ending, how they worked as a team to get that pin, you know, and it wasn't the person we thought was going to get the win.
Yeah.
You know, I think
exactly.
You know, the being Colton's getting a victory, so really, really clever. And like I said, they're working. Like Monty, they are working, aren't they, Bullet Club, at this moment in time? I mean, I diss them, but I've got to say, they're slowly getting over, and I'm just wondering when Tony's going to drop the ball with them.
I told everyone who hates the Gun Club, I said, man, give it time. Especially the Guns. I never really disliked them. I thought they was just in a situation where they was mixed with the Acclaim. So, you know, they fell right into the role perfectly, and I thought they played their role perfectly in that situation. The only thing I didn't like was probably how, you know, when they won the tag titles, it was sudden, but even then I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. So a lot of people are always, in my opinion, kind of unfairly did not like them, but I thought honestly a lot of it came from a good place. If you're annoyed a lot of times by heels, then that's a pretty good sign that they're doing their job. And I think now it's turned into a little bit of appreciation because they're paired with the right people. It just makes sense being in the Bullet Club or Bullet Club Gold. And I think a lot of people also thought that Jay White was going to immediately get misused in AEW. And again, I have to say, they have done an awesome job so far of just protecting him. And like you said, by proxy, the Bullet Club. So yeah, man, I'm really impressed with it, and I think hopefully they keep it pushing. Hopefully they keep doing what they're doing. And I also want to say this too. I love Jaxie also just making me feel like a total idiot by highlighting why she chose what she chose.
Yeah,
It's just like what? Yeah. I think it was kind of obvious.
You can't deny, right?
It
kind of makes sense,
right?
Yeah, I mean, like again, like I said, Monty. But like I said, Monty, this is the only time I'm excelling right now. I really need to, need to make sure that I'm trying to analytically get the wins. So this was all of, so yeah, this is where it's worked in my favor. But this is also what's failed me in WWE because clearly I'm not reading everything. I'm not reading everything right. Don't even say it, James. Okay.
Well, no, you're not doing as well as WWE as you are in AEW. But, I mean, Gina, before, we have to talk about predictions. What are you going to score this out of 5, and what were your thoughts?
I really enjoyed the match. I also feel a bit dumb, especially when my sister explains that, because I even had an in-depth conversation with my sister before even this event had happened.
She didn't even help you with that. That's horrible.
No, she didn't. But yet we sat here over lunch discussing the issue between FTR and the Young Bucks. So when I bet a load of listeners are like, well, Gina, why did you choose them to win then? Guys, I don't know. I think I was just being hopeful and I was being biased to FTR. Okay, I'm gonna stop making my predictions based on biased choices now. Okay, so yeah, it was a great match and I could see these feuds happening, but the Bullet Club Gold are really, really great at the moment. I think they just need to keep pushing them. And one good thing about it is that, yes, we've had, all Juice join AEW, then we've had Jay join, but I'm glad they didn't thrust Jay straight up into the title picture to rising up his ranks. I like that they're doing this sort of let Jay build his brand and his faction, because one day we know that they're going to push Jay to just take over and everyone's going to be just against the Bullet Club Gold. So I think it's working for the Ass Boys, even though they don't want to be known as that. I think it's working for them because I think they didn't need a Rey Mysterio introduction into wrestling. They didn't need to be linked to their dad. And I think this Bullet Club is working for them because they work really well with both Juice and Jay. And again, if you're a fan of New Japan and you've seen Juice and Jay on that scene, you're already a fan. So it was a great match. Did I already give my rating? I can't remember.
No, go
on. Do you know what? I'm gonna give it a 4.5. It was enjoyable, and I was shocked with the ending because I was so stupid.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, no, this is pretty good. 4.25.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I gave it a 4.25.
4.25. 4.25, man. Predictions. We all went for FTR and the Bucks, apart from Jaxie, which means Gina and Monty stay on 8, and Jaxie joins me on 9 points. 2-point lead squandered. Jaxie now in the lead. What a cunt.
Yeah. So I went from the bottom to the top, and you're getting all of my reasoning why. You're really, really lucky to be, in my presence and listening to, my rational thinking, because clearly y'all didn't know what you were talking about.
Well, just glad it's not going to your head. So the main event of the night was the International Championship between Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy. They took a long time to make any contact. OC tried to put his hands in his pockets, but Mox away to let him know he was in no mood for games. It didn't take long for Moxley to draw first blood by busting OC's head open on the announce table. It was a deep cut, so Cassidy was wearing the Crimson Mask within minutes. The longer the match went, the more Mox punished the champion by attacking his head, really laying in the strikes. This was OC's official entry into the main event scene and decided to in the hard way. Moxley uses a bell lock. OC going for his usual lazy kicks, hitting stiffer kicks, was a great moment. He made a comeback after hitting a beach break on the concrete. After hitting 2 orange punches, he ran right into a cutter, and he fired with another punch and a spear. Somehow Cassidy managed to kick out the Death Rider, which rarely happens, but got hit with a second. And your new international champion is Jon Moxley. Monty, what are your thoughts on this? I know Moxley's always going to bleed, and what a great reign from Orange Cassidy as international champion.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on both accounts there. The reign, historic, awesome stuff from Orange Cassidy. I think one of the reasons why I ended up putting my hat in on Orange Cassidy is that promo going into it. He really just bared his soul, and for the first time, you kind of can get a chance to see. If you didn't see, I think by now everyone should know that he's money and he can be the guy or one of the guys. But if you don't see it, I think this promo proved a lot of his doubters who say he can't be serious and all that. I think that proved any of them wrong, in my opinion. This match went perfectly along with it because, again, he showed toughness. I kind of went against all my good senses because I was just like, well, he's been hurt. He's been tired. So everything that's been knocking him down, he still should be able to overcome it. Even if it's Moxley, And again, I'm just one of those people who don't think at this point Moxley needs a championship. But at the same time, let's go back with history. What happened the last time CM Punk got himself fired? Moxley was right there to pick up the slack and to be, a solid, constant figure that you need at the top of a division or at the top of the show. So, again, you can never go wrong with Moxley in that spot. Like you said, Moxley's definitely going to bleed, and he's definitely going to give it his all. They just put out the PWI rankings, which, by the way, I don't even want to entertain those rankings. And for some reason, Tetsuya Naito was not in the top 500. Screw off PWI. They apologize, but I'm still telling them to screw off for that.
He wasn't in the top 500.
The top 500 wrestlers, and we talking about kayfabe. He just won the G1, James.
Oh,
he just won the G1.
Naito.
Come on, man.
I thought
what are you doing?
They said like Tanahashi or someone. Yeah, like fucking hell.
Right. They apologize, but yes, he wasn't even in the top 500. It's sick. It's very aggravating. But at the top of that list, they did get it right with Moxley, Roman number 2, I think, and Rollins number 1. So, or if you want to go whatever order you can, in my opinion, you'll be right. Because at the end of the day, the Shield is at the top of the wrestling world. And I think, honestly, like he said, I think I've been seeing this viral clip go out about years ago where he said, you got 3 Beyoncés here. If you're talking about a group, three number 1 guys. And I think that's exactly what the Shield is. So as someone who's watched him as, even before he was the Shield, when he was, just deathmatch Mox, before that, and then now to see what he is now and see what he means to this company, because he's one of those guys at the end of the day, they can count on. This was awesome, and I thought this was a great way to finish out this show. And even though shout out to my Connect, I did pirate this. I will admit it. I didn't buy it. Shout out to my Connect, but he made it worth it. So I didn't pay Tony money 2 weeks in a row. But I want to tell you, Moxley, I love you guys.
Well, like I said, let's hope they can keep the momentum going now. But let's not forget, Jaxie, we talk about women's matches, tag matches can't main event, but Orange Cassidy with this national title can. This was his first pay-per-view main event. This was Moxley's 11. Is it right for AEW to rely on Moxley as much as they do? Or is Monty right? Can he put the weight on the world on his shoulders?
It's not kind of a similar situation as to what it was back when he kind of had to pick up the reins after the first sort of brawl out situation happened. Like, he genuinely was going off on an annual leave, on a break, and he physically had to come back and actually fix things. And in a way, Mox has become sort of like a leader within the locker room. He has a plethora of men and women backstage that all respect and listen to him. And I think exactly what Monty said. Right now, you've got the entire Shield, running the top wrestling world at the moment. I think a lot of that plays into the level of trust Tony Khan does have with Jon Moxley. That being said, again, for me, this match was a rational decision-making match for me. Not only do we know that Mox can handle a title and actually, run with it and actually have decent runs, not saying Orange Cassidy can't, but we can actually not bring up the elephant in the room that week in, week out, we've been seeing Orange Cassidy on a weekly basis opening up, even just on a Rampage or whatever, but taped up. The man probably needs to go off and rest. He has been wrestling 2 or 3 nights a week, and just doing a lot, putting up with a lot. Mox has been able to have a little bit more of a break in between since sort of the creation of the Blackpool Combat Club. This does help, being part of a faction, because he can still be present but not be wrestling as much. But right now, Mox is definitely on another hype. A lot of people are behind him again, and not to say they weren't before, but he's gone off. He's had a few sort of normal stints of just normal matches and stuff. So yeah, I think at this point, especially with a lot of the news about the firing and everything like that, I think Tony wanted to give Chicago a feel-good moment, and what better way to end it than everyone who does love Mox just put the belt back on him in the main event. So for me, this felt like a no-brainer that OC probably needs
to wrestle less or to go off and rest. You know, he might, as Monty also pointed out about what Mox said about just coming out and saying that, you know, his arthritis is bad. We don't even know what underlying issues Orange Cassidy might currently have. And I just felt like it was getting to a point where he probably needed to take a break, even if it is just a brief one. So, yeah, this for me was a no-brainer with the match.
So, Gina, main event, what are your thoughts and what is your score out of 5?
My thoughts... Right, okay, this is going to be quite controversial, but I think I may have said this before. I'm just like a bit bored of Orange Cassidy. I just am. So it's not that I dislike him because he's entertaining, and it's not like I dislike any of the matches he's in, but I'm just a bit bored. So I was just really, really wanting Mox to win this match. So every time Orange just kind of was getting the advantage, I was like, oh, fuck off, Orange. So it was quite a frustrating match for me a little bit. I think, like, literally, again, I always enjoy the matches he's in. You know, even in the big, you know, Stadium Stampede match, I enjoyed seeing him in it. But I think I'm just a bit bored. So, yeah, I was really, really hoping that Mox was going to get this win. The match was great. I'm going to give it a 4.25.
4.25. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, I was really high on this match. I'm also very high on what Orange Cassidy's been able to do. And what he is now. Like I said, I just love to think about how he was kind of like a joke or a comedy wrestler to some people. He used Jericho to really make people take notice. Use that feud, and I think this Moxley thing. This is about proving that he's tough enough. He's realistic enough. I know some people may not like what he does or whatever, but I feel like this is what he kind of needs to take that next step to be a world champion contender in the future, even though he had a great reign here. This reign, along with this match, proved why, in my opinion, he can be a world champion in the future because he showed elite toughness here. I gave it 4.5.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. Jaxie, what side you on?
I mean, to be honest, I think that Orange Cassidy's had a really great one with the international championship. I think he's held it well. I think he's defended it well. And I think he's had some great matches with it. But I wasn't actually shocked that Mox was going to pick up a belt. We got to think Claudio is currently the Ring of Honor champion. I think, he's Joe's the TV champion. Yeah, so he's the current Ring of Honor champion. Yuta might not be a champion at the moment, but he had just previously been the pure champion. You know, like these guys are all on a run right now, and Mox is at his best right now, even though he's not at his best, if that makes sense. So I was just, I feel like overall that this match has just done well to actually continue to elevate the Blackpool Combat Club. Exactly what I actually predicted was going to happen when they originally formed. I felt like they were going to kind of take over as a faction. So I enjoyed this match. I also gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.5 as well. So predictions: Monty went for Orange Cassidy, Rest went for Moxley. So it means final scores: Monty on 8, Gina on 9, James and Jaxie on 10. So Jaxie wins again. Jaxie, I know you may be not doing that well on WWE Prediction League, but your AEW form has been incredible. So well done for that. I'm serious.
I mean, I'm very proud of this result. I think that if I kind of had, I feel like if there had been a bit more of a build up, like maybe an extra week behind All Out, I probably would have called a few of the matches differently, because I think it was the Kenny match that I misread, Darby's match I misread, and Athena's match I misread. But if there had been more build up, especially towards the women's tag match, I feel like I could have definitely just come up on top overall, clean slate, But I'm not going to complain because I'm still prevailing in AEW, so I'm not a total loser.
No, the thing is that between you and I, we didn't get a match wrong. So like I said, the matches that you said you looked at wrong, I got right, and vice versa. So there's no blind spots at this moment in time. What it means for the prediction leagues after All Out. So we know WWE Gina is in the lead for WWE 5-4-1. Bonus league, we know Monty is in the league 15, 14, 12, 11. And AEW means Jaxie has gone into lead on 4 with Monty and James on 3, Gina on 2, which means for the first time ever since we have been doing this podcast together, I am the only one not in the lead of a league. And that is incredible. So well done, guys. You have completely shut me out. Well done at this moment in time.
Yay. I can't deny it. I'm very pleased that I've been resting on being drawing with someone the whole time. So I'm very happy to be leading the AEW one right now.
Yeah, there is daylight between you guys and me, but I will have my revenge. There's no doubt about it. Overall, then, so match of the night, I think it'd be fair to say it was Starks versus Danielson. So we just need MVP and rating. So, Gina, who's your MVP of the night, and what's your rating out of 10?
Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks was MVP.
Yeah.
And out of 10, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because there were quite a few matches that I really did enjoy. I will give a special shout out to the Hobbs and Miro match because that really is at the top. But I'm really sorry, you just lost out due to my biasness. Again, I said this is the last time I will, but yeah.
No, that's fair enough. Monty, what about you? MVP and rating?
Yeah, man, Ricky, in my opinion, came out looking like the biggest star next to Orange Cassidy coming out of this. Orange lost. They both lost, but I think Ricky ended up looking like someone that you can definitely see a bright future, and I like his match better. So I'm going Ricky as my MVP. And overall, I agree, 8.5. But my reasoning is completely different. As someone who did not really care for this show at all, did not really have the strength to want to watch another wrestling show because I'm wrestled out at this point in a lot of ways, to be honest. It ended up being way more fun, and I credit the talent because when you only got 1 week to build, you can't tell me it's the damn booking that got me through this match. So I credit the work of all the wrestlers, in my opinion, for getting me through this show because I was not looking forward to it.
Jaxie, MVP and rating.
Yeah, got to go with a clean sweep here. I think Ricky really stood out. I think it was his best match to date. I'm excited to see more come out of him. And I also want to give a sort of close shout out to my other 5-star match, which was the Miro Hobbs match, because I felt like that was a great match overall. I have to agree. I think 8.5 is a really good stamper for it, and I think my reasoning is very much exactly the same as Monty's. Like, I did not go into this pay-per-view caring for any of these matches. With lack of build-up, I was also feeling a little bit wrestled out, especially with the week before being so hectic for us being there really live. But I overall enjoyed this whole premium live event or pay-per-view, whatever they're calling it. So yeah, 8.5 seems fitting.
I'm going to go Starks and OC MVP. I'm going to give it an 8.25 because, not to sound negative, but there is nothing that happened on this card that will matter in a month's time. We won't go back, and there's nothing here.
Hey,
I mean,
don't say that about Moxley's reign. Moxley's title reign will still be here in a month's time, so that will still be relevant. So I think that's not entirely true.
All right. So in 6 months' time, I'm gonna talk to you about when Moxley won this title. All right. We'll see how you can fit it in.
Reminder: 6 months' time, we need to actually showcase that James is wrong and Moxley is still champion, and he's on a hell of a spree.
You just throw something out at me. I just don't like Jaxie, and I don't know what that is, but it really.
You do that to me, James. It's my competitiveness. It gets real ugly.
So anyway, we're going to do Dynamite notes. We had Orange Cassidy start the show saying he's going to be there every week because he's Orange Cassidy and he doesn't have a catchphrase. Aussie Open lost again, MJF Samoa Joe came face to face. Grand Slam World title eliminated. Trent Beretta lost to Roderick Strong. I tell you, something that was fucking good. Swerve Strickland, Hangman Page, saying, if I would got the opportunities that you got a year ago, I would be the first black AEW World Champion by now. I mean, Monty, Swerve is a star. Well, is Tony just teasing us here? Or can Swerve literally go all the way? Because he's got everything, hasn't he?
I don't think Tony teasing this. I think he got to be an idiot to not see that Swerve should be in that conversation. It's kind of like what I was saying with Ricky Starks. I think Swerve is right there as a guy who needs to be in the world title picture, definitely in a single title picture. He's one of those guys, and I think if I'm WWE, every time I see Swerve on the other people's television screen, I'm just like, man, I should have held on to him. I felt that way ever since they let him go, and I think AEW, if they're smart, they'll put him in that spot because he's one of those guys. I feel like you give him the ball, you give him that situation, or put him in the right situation, he's gonna take it and run with it, and he's gonna be a top star in wrestling for many years to come. And I think Tony would be an idiot if he don't see it.
Yeah, he is an idiot, but again, that's an argument for another day. Grand Slam World Title Eliminator, Darby Allin beat Nick Wayne on Rampage. In the Grand Slam World Title Eliminator, Penta beat Jay Lethal, Joe beat Jeff Hardy. On Collision, Jade Cargill returned to beat up Martinez, and they gave Statlander the Jaded. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Grand Slam World Title, Long beat Darby, Joe beat Penta. Danielson came out for an interview and said, despite not wanting to wind down his career, he's promised his daughter that he will wind down once she reached 7. She's 6 at the moment. To be fair, she sounds a bit demanding to me. But Gina, Danielson is a man of his words. So this next year with Bryan Danielson should be incredible.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely think that they're going to do everything they can to kind of give him what he would like to achieve before he does look to sort of retire or semi-retire. I do think he'll make special appearances sort of in the future going forward. Not 100% guaranteed that it will all be for an AEW platform, maybe another platform, but it'll more be like a special guest 1 or 2 week run or just lead up to a pay-per-view, something like that. But I definitely think that over this next year, they're going to truly push ideas that maybe Danielson would love to still embark on before he looks to retire, that sort of lifestyle, you know?
I mean, like you said, hopefully maybe just a couple of matches in a year as opposed to strap matches we've seen rather than completely retiring. But we are going to get Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Dream on October 1st. So an event that I didn't care about now has a match that I watch. Dynamite, Ricky Starks is back on the show, which was nice. Callis wants Ibushi next. And the Grand Slam World Title Eliminator Final, Joe beat Strong and will face MJF at Grand Slam. Joe said he's going to take everything with MJF, including Adam Cole, who we choked out in a really cool segment. And finally, Rampage, Jade Cargill lost to Chris Statlander. Jay congratulated Chris afterwards and hugged her before leaving the ring. This felt very much like a goodbye. Jade is WWE bound. Jaxie, we've talked about, you mentioned before, a star of like Sasha Banks coming to AEW, and what could that do? What about losing like Jade Cargill? And what's it going to be like when she's money and she's going to go WWE and be a star?
Yeah, just a correction. Chris Statlander fought one of the Renegade twins, and then Jade came out. He said that Jade and Chris fought, but Jade came out after the match ended because the twins had ganged up on Chris. It was very exciting to actually see Jade come back. And straight away I said to my sister that I really would love to see Jade go for the AEW women's belt. So to hear that there has been talks or rumors of her going to WWE is very sad, because I feel like that Jade has so much more to do and accomplish yet in AEW, if I'm truly honest. When she was TBS champion, she was kept on Rampage. She faced the women that were primarily on Rampage. I still have dream matches that I would love to see Jade have within AEW. I don't think that will be the end for her career in AEW. I think even if she does end up going to and signing with WWE, I think there is still potential for her to still end up going back to AEW. But you can't deny that whichever promotion she ends up in, there's going to be some dream matches that's going to be on the card. I just hope that if she does go to WWE, she doesn't get ruined. So that's my only worry.
Oh no, don't worry about that. I think the thing is with Jade is that Tony didn't know how to book her in the end, so wasting her on Rampage compared to this is Triple H's wet dream. And me personally, I cannot believe they've let Jade Cargill slip through. If we think Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez are impressive, then we ain't seen nothing yet, especially with the Performance Center there with Jade, because it is just, it's ready-made money, and I cannot, and the rumours are as well, Ricky Starks in the next one, this could really be the beginning of AEW losing who they could build a future around in a weird way.
Yeah.
And it's great having Mox and Danielson and all these guys, but who's going to pick up once they're not there,
Mm-hmm.
They call it a Rose Connect. I'm just saying, he got a history of Ricky Starks. I think that's what they're trying to use. Yeah. Whether they saying it or not, they definitely try to use Cody's relationships to do some recruiting.
Well, he was there at the Rumble, wasn't he? So
take advantage. Really.
Yeah, you remember Ricky went to the Rumble for Cody. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see, but I think Jade is going to be pretty. I think Jade is going to be good no matter what. If it's not true, she'll be fine. And I think once you go to the main roster, I actually feel bad for some of the other ladies on WWE roster because you thought Bianca's reign was dominant. You thought Rhea was dominant. Like just adding, like you said, Raquel, adding another woman of Jade's stature and everything she presents as a character. Oh man, it's like I said, it'd be crazy. But I don't know. I think she'll be fine either way though. She's a star, and I think that's what we all know. And like you said, it would be a shame if AEW have lost her. But it would be, like you said, one man's, loss in this situation would be treasure for the opposite company, and, vice versa in some cases. But Jade, oh, man, yeah, I would have threw all the money at Jade.
Well, again, it gives AEW a chance to book the division better and also, like we said with Toni Storm, with the character development and what she's doing to step up to the plate now as well. Because, going back to a Britt Baker all the time or, the amount of fucking matches this past month involving like Baker, Shida, and some in tag teams has been crazy. So with all the good AEW has done, there is obviously some bad as well. But I think that's it. There's nothing really else about AEW. Anybody else wants to discuss? We think we should call time.
I mean, I think we said a decent amount. Yeah.
I think we've done enough. So that is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJ. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people listen and find you?
You can follow me at My Monty Pod on the Twitter, like you said, in the WNR Twitter banner. You can click the link in the bio, listen to some of the old pods. I'm not even going to pretend to lie like I have the time to even promote anything new right now. Right now, you can find me at home with my daughter. So I'll let you guys know if anything else changed on that front at My Monty Pod. So just keep following the Twitter. And it may be a surprise pod coming up in a couple weeks or so. Just wrapping up everything going on in my tumultuous life at this point. But yeah, that's about it.
Jaxie, what about you?
I'm on both Twitter and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Gina?
You can find me on the same at Purple Pain.
On Facebook and Instagram, all Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. And YouTube podcast. We have all the latest clips. Podcast go at the same time. YouTube to SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes. Make it download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. So up next, Monty, I know you don't say, might not sound it ready. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to go all out on NXT. Next weekend, NXT update. Following weekend, No Mercy. Come on, this is going to be good. I mean, yes, we have got 6 episodes to catch up on, but it's going to be fun,
You say that, but I don't even know. I'll drag myself to that podcast some way, I guess. But I must say, NXT has been awesome. So I do have to say, I definitely have to find a way to. I'm definitely going to find a way to get the podcast done because NXT deserves my attention. It's been really, really good. And but yeah, man. At this point, I'm running on coffee and whatever the Lord is giving me.
We'll be fine. I've had I've had girlfriends like that in the past. We'll be fine. We'll get through it. You'll survive me today. Also, don't forget as well that Jaxie and Gina will be back in October for the AEW Wrestle Dream. But I do want predictions from both of you from No Mercy because that is going to go towards the prediction leagues. So that is
Awesome.
it. Yeah, until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Jaxie, you cannot be beaten in AEW. You cannot be beaten.
Well, that's yet to be seen, isn't it, James? So hopefully I'll be able to continue this game going into Wrestle Dream. So we'll see how things go.
Yeah, still 2 more AEW shows. The mind of Monty. Monty, of course, you're in the lead of the bonus league. So, of course, with NXT coming up, you've got to make sure you stay on the ball.
Definitely. And I need Jackson to get more cocky so we can knock off that perch. Please. Come on, man. Stop all this modest stuff. Come on. Get a little big-headed so you can screw up.
No, never.
Never. And finally, the genius of Gina, of course, and she's the one who's not gone on about it today, I think. The leader of the WWE Prediction League, just quietly sitting there laughing at the other losers.
True.
Completely forgot about that, if I'm truly honest. Thanks.
Oh, Lord.
Gloating for me. Thanks for gloating for me. I'll take it.
Yeah, great. I'm pleased for you. It's great. It's great. I'm so happy that I created a podcast where I'm not in the lead of any prediction leagues.
What a loser.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Bring back Dan is what I say. Well, on that thanks, everybody. Bye.